Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, small law firm in central Minnesota. And with me today is a very, very special guest, my good friend, Mr. Doug TenNapel.
Oh, good night, everybody. Hello.
How's it going, man?
Never been better.
Well, that's good, because I've got beef with you, sir. Straight out
Good,
the gate.
good.
We're going right in.
Beef me right now, Nick.
Okay, so the last time I saw you, I was sitting on your couch.
Yeah.
And I got a phone call. I don't know if you remember. And
No.
my house sitter tells me that that my kitchen has flooded.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I come home. You know, we drove home from your house. We went up to, gosh, I think we stayed in Indiana, but not in Gary, because if you stay in Gary, Indiana, your odds of dying are pretty high.
Yeah, you'll never leave.
So we stayed in like Indiana before Gary, and then we went, across through Chicago. We went then right past Kenosha on the way home, and it was
Wow,
right.
you went through just the parade of love. You know, you can't spell Gary without gay.
Right. So we went through Gary, Indiana, Chicago, right past Kenosha, Wisconsin, and then through Minneapolis, all in the same day. It was beautiful. And we get home, and that was the start of months of misery that I've been going through. And I blame it on
on me.
Well, yeah, I was at your house when it happened.
So I was distracting you. I was running a play for your enemies.
Exactly. My enemy being a faulty valve.
I do not envy the water damage. Did you have to rip everything out?
Yeah, the floor, the cabinets have been ripped out. It's still not done.
Anything water touches, they don't tell you this, but like anything water touches is ruined.
Yes, immediately.
It warps, it inflates. And if you don't replace it, if you go, I'll just leave it the way it is. When you sell your house, you'll have to replace it.
Yep.
Because it will be water damaged area. It'll fail inspection. So you might as well fix it while you're living in it.
Yeah.
So you're redoing the kitchen.
Yep. We have been ever since we got back. So it's still going. It's still not done. We just got the floors done this week, finally. And then they have to put the baseboards back, and they have to put the cabinets back. And then since when they removed the countertop to remove the cabinets, they broke the countertop. So
they broke it.
Then they have to no, it was tile.
Oh.
It was tile, but they shattered all all these tiles. And which is just great. And so and you can't get them anymore cuz I don't know, they're like 10, 20 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
And so now they're replacing the counter, but it was tile, and I'm not buying a tile countertop because that's degenerate.
That's right.
You know why this is
food gets into the grout, and it's a germ.
Right. This is biblical. This is what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. Actually,
They had tile.
It had nothing to do with it. Everybody had tile countertops, and God was like, "Oh God, no."
I'm turning into a pillar of salt just on principle. Yeah.
He's
oh
like,
God. Oh me.
Oh me. This is terrible. I'm burning the city to the ground. So yeah, we've got this new. It's like quartz. It's not quartz, but it's like a quartz countertop.
Yeah. It has like shinies on its surface, like shinies.
Kind of. I'll have to send you a picture.
Yeah, I'd like to
send
see
you a picture. It's pretty. It'll be nice when they get it in sometime in the middle of December.
Yeah, there's good thing there's no food oriented holidays between now and when the tile it has to get put in.
There's not, because thank goodness my governor has saved me from the horror of Thanksgiving, of my favorite holiday.
We're gonna get to this all night.
Yes.
Is lockdown skeptics night on Nick Rekieta.
We're gonna talk. I figured we'd talk about, because you're a morality guy.
Oh yeah.
And I figured we could talk about the morality of lockdowns, the morality of what's going on in the election right now because we still have an election going, which is weird to think.
I'm happy. I just went to Real Clear Politics, and even less states are called now than last week. We're going backwards. They've grayed out Nevada. They grayed out Arizona. So I like all the gray I'm seeing.
Wait, really? On Real Clear Politics?
Go to Real Clear Politics. They grayed out more. All the states that have lawsuits, like 10 states now. It's like they're calling less states than ever. Look up election 2020 Real Clear Politics. Okay,
the map I see still has it all filled in, but I don't know.
Nah, the one I just Googled it and I just looked at it. I just tweeted it.
Well,
I don't know where it is.
I believe you.
I might have gone to the wrong section. So it's not the first time I ever tweeted something dumb, but it looked like they were going backwards to me.
Now they have two maps on Real Clear Politics. One is their map, and the other is an interactive map where you can actually click on them and change.
I'm looking at Polls 2020 Electoral College map.
Yeah, okay, that's not the current one for their results. They have a different
well, why didn't they fill it out then? I'm looking at it right now, and it's got Nevada, Arizona grayed out, Texas is gray.
Yeah, that's the one that was based on the last poll they did before the election, and I think if you click on them, you can actually change and manipulate to do your predictions or something. So.
Screw that. It's all voodoo. I don't believe it. I hate everything.
I'm with it. I 100% agree. It's all voodoo and nonsense. But it is. We are stuck in this sort of world of election limbo. We've got a president who says, it's not over, and we've got a presumptive potential president saying it's been over, and he's backed fully by a media who said it was over in 2014. So
yeah, are you feeling the brainwashing, the massive, like all my Facebook friends, the liberals over there, just like, get over it. It's not just the election's over. Now there's peer pressure and shaming if you question it, which I love being shamed. I don't care.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, go crazy, guys. It's not called.
How Lutheran are you? I mean,
yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for much worse. Get ready for much worse than this, people. They're making lists.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting things that's come up with this. And what I'm seeing all over, this is what's blowing my mind, is not only are they making lists, a bunch of people are fine with that. And then and people are fine with the deprivation of liberty, like the fundamental things. And not just people, like people I like. Are fine with it.
Good people who are being quiet because they don't want to go on a list. They don't want to even say anything like, hey guys, can we be cool? They're like, oh, you're on the list.
I'm not even talking about the quiet people. I'm talking about people who are full on like, well, yeah, I guess we do need a lockdown now. North Dakota put in a lockdown. I mean, the only state that's less likely to put in a lockdown than North Dakota is probably South Dakota.
Well, I'm here in Tennessee, which is redneck central. Trump in the primary, Tennessee. In my hometown, Franklin, the city put up a rat out form where you can rat out people who are non-compliant.
Oh,
lovely. The city put that on their website. They got so much backlash from Twitter that they pulled it back down. So I'm just going, well, wait, are you here to save lives or not? So
stand by your convictions.
Yeah, you take it down. I'm going, you're just proving you're a fraud all along if you took it down.
Well, of course it's a fraud because the moment something happens that agrees with, I won't say it as leftist, even though it typically is, right? Yeah. But the predominant media narrative. So Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Joe Biden's victory. Everybody can be licking the roofs of each other's mouths and no diseases can possibly be transmitted. But the second you get, a family gathering, I was thinking about this. You're in the same boat. If our kids were out of the house, for example, like if all my kids are out of the house and I had a Thanksgiving, I could only allow 2 of them back into my home because it's a 3 household limit. So if all my kids are at college or married off or whatever, doesn't even matter if they have a brood or not. I could just only let 2 of them back. So I have to tell the other 3, that I didn't like them all along. And that's a
Yeah.
crazy thing to me. This is all nuts.
So it's saving you trouble. If you ever have a fallout with your kids, you'll go, look, do you want to be the two I'm bringing back? Because I'm just saying you're on the bubble. So there better be some love coming my way. Or
yeah. Which one of you wants to put me in a home? Two of them raise their hands. Y'all can't come back.
You're out. See you next Thanksgiving after the COVID's done. Well, do you have your kids? I'm sure they have classmates or friends or whatever that are out there in the world who are getting COVID. There's got to be people in your community who the beloved Lady Rackets knows someone who has someone who's gotten it, and then they become part of that tracking formula, that tracing formula.
I finally know someone who's like I can't remember if it was significant other or dad. Like I personally, not through the internet, I personally know someone someone very close to them died from COVID. And I was like, okay, that's the first one for me. But our town has really been largely immune from it. We're just such a small town, and we're like at that. We're like, do you remember Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh yeah.
When he goes in and he goes into that shop and he wants the car part and he wants the pomade. And the guy, each time the guy says, I'll be in a couple of weeks. He's like, we're in some sort of geographical oddity. 2 weeks from anywhere.
2 weeks from anywhere.
That's where I am. We're like 2 hours from anything. You can get to whatchamacallit, Sioux Falls, South Dakota in like 3 hours. You can get to the Twin Cities in 2 hours. You can get up to like Fargo in 4. So it's like we're just in this limbo land, and no one really comes through our area. So we've been pretty much inoculated. There have been a couple community scares where it's like, so and so might have it, but then the test comes back negative. So no.
When you go to the gas station, are they mask compliant? Are they wearing masks
inside the gas station?
Yeah.
No. Small businesses here are largely not mask compliant. The big businesses are Walmart, Target, any store with more than 3 locations. They have all that. But the local restaurants are hit or miss on masks. Gas stations, no, not a chance. They just.
What's your personal mask threshold? Because I carry one in the car in case there's a bunch of peer pressure. Like if I walk into a room and everyone's wearing a mask, I don't want to be the guy that makes them uncomfortable, so I'll put a mask on. But what's the percentage of people before you'll throw one on?
Mine's a little different than that. I'll put a mask on. I don't mind that much. But here's what I won't do. If I forgot my mask at home, I won't drive back home and get it.
Yeah.
I will just go in.
Yeah.
And I will avoid people. I'm not like a jerk about it. I don't get in people's face. I don't make a scene. No one's ever asked me to leave, or anything like that.
That's right.
I'll wear it because I don't need to make any statement about it. Yeah. I don't like the mandate. I don't care. And if they tried to like arrest me for it or whatever, I'd be a sovereign citizen in a heartbeat. Yeah. I'm an Article 4 free inhabitant. You can't make me wear this mask. It's communism, you fascist bootlicker. I'm
getting on my iPhone. I'm putting you on Twitter.
You're being detained. I'm making a citizen's arrest of you. You're an unlicensed officer of the state that I do not recognize. No, that would be where I'd go. But no, I'll wear a mask. I don't care. Plus, I got a fancy Rekieta Law mask.
Oh, cool.
So I throw that on. It's got the logo on it, and that's great. But no, if I forgot it at home, or even if I like walk to the store and I'm at the door, I'm not going to walk back to my car to go get it. I will not be inconvenienced.
We need to get you a Warhammer mask. Warhammer.
I have 2.
Like teeth.
Like not that crazy.
Big nails sticking out of it.
A viewer made it for me, and it's like a bloodied flag. And it's got the Imperial Aquila, and it's got a little futuristic kind of design on it. But I kind of stopped wearing it and got my Rekieta Law one for a very specific reason. Too many people were complimenting me on my mask. Like,
oh, there you go.
And I felt like it was uncomfortable because, like, I know the mask looks kind of goofy, and that that doesn't bother me. But too many people were like, That's a really nice mask. It's like, I'm not trying to make a statement. I'm just wearing this thing, right?
And they asked you, they go, "Are you smuggling a banana under that
Yeah.
mask?" Well,
Well, that actually the viewer made the
do they
mask.
fit, Nick?
They made it extra large intentionally to fit the beak.
It has like a sock on the front. It's like
Yeah.
a sock.
No, it's like the bubonic plague man mask.
Yeah. The crow head
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Yes, I see the stream got a little bit of bitrate issue from YouTube. Yes, it's all good. It's all good. It'll be okay to the chat.
Just pretend like it's 1997. It's okay.
Exactly. Your pornography will come line by line.
I am envying that Warhammer book up top there with the spacers on the spine, the red one. It has the ribs on the spine. Yeah.
This is a well done one.
Holy nice.
It's a tome, you know.
Yeah, look at that thing. Look at that spine.
This is like this one cost me like $300 because I had to buy it on eBay. I missed the limited release of it. It sold out in under an hour.
Yeah.
So I had to buy it on eBay. Cost a fortune.
How many did they make? Do you know?
I think it was 5,000. Let me tell you. Let me check. I mean, because it's numbered. Oh my god, my hands are all shaky. I didn't eat enough lately. No, 1,500. So this is 286 out of 1,500.
Amazing.
That I have here.
Okay, so I'm bringing it up because I'm doing Earthworm Jim on Indiegogo. We just extended it by 2 weeks.
Oh, you did extend it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to say we need to bring this up before midnight, my time, because I think that's when it was scheduled.
But listen, it's the leather edition. I'm putting ribs on the spine just like that one. It has gold foil embossing and debossing just like that one. It has gold gilded edges just like that one. And right now we're only up to maybe a print run of 600 or 700, maybe 700. So it's going to, and signed and numbered with an Earthworm Jim head drawn inside the leather edition.
I was going to pull it up on stream here, and I'm going to buy one because I signed up on the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Which did not have...
Which is Earthworm Jim 2. That's just Earthworm Jim 2.
Right. And I did the original page one, I think, of Earthworm Jim 2.
That's sweet. Yeah. That's great.
But that one didn't have the leather book yet. That's on the Indiegogo.
See, I had to do that because Indiegogo won't let you just copy and paste a whole campaign.
Which is dumb. Very stupid.
It is dumb. I was furious with them, and they almost screwed my whole business over one weekend. They gave me a heart attack. I was really furious about that. But, you know, they're cool.
You're at $191,000 and $191,789 right now. So that's fantastic. I'm pulling it up on the screen.
We did 19 grand today.
Yes.
Just today. So we're
they call me the grifter. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. I'm King Grift. I'm just in shock because to me, anytime any of these books get funded, I think it's the most amazing thing on the planet. Like I've never.
I know I'm not supposed to have envy or whatever, but I do. I think it's so cool that you get to make this stuff.
I get to screw around all day and have fun and make great stuff. So that leather edition, though, I know there's some Warhammer books back there that have this, but it's going to have a metal stamp on the front. It's like a metal shield of Earthworm Jim holding a sword.
Yes.
And it's like rubbed and antiqued. So they have those kind of badges on super fancy books, and we're doing that too.
Yeah, I have let's see, I have like a bunch of them, but they're all up in my closet. See, this is only a limited selection of my
those books
degeneracy.
I love those books. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Now, my big question is, do you have any idea how they market that stuff? Like, how did you know when a 1,500 run book is available? Because that's my biggest thing is how do you get people to know? How does Warhammer reach out to their fans? What's their main way of contacting?
They have they used to do... so they have Games Workshop, which sells all the toys. Oh, by the way, I'm trying to be an art. Check this out.
Oh, wait, did you paint that?
Yeah.
No way. That's a great job.
Thanks.
Dude, Ty must be proud too.
Well, I don't talk to him. He's not my real dad.
Yeah, he's a jerk. We hate that guy.
Oh, it's Ty's birthday today.
What?
Yeah, or well, for another 37 minutes. It's
Happy
Ty's
birthday, Ty.
So, yeah. So everybody spam Ty with happy birthday on Twitter
give him
or whatever.
Give him a big happy high. How old is he?
I don't know.
How
I
old
assume
of a man
like
is he?
I assume like 86 or something.
He's got to be like 8,000 years old, right?
I was in a group chat today and someone was like, "Do you guys remember watching Shirley Temple?" It's like, well, no.
Yeah.
I was born after Christ ascended.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I remember when Birth of a Nation was in theater.
Oh God.
Yeah.
No. So no, but that's how old I feel Ty is. I feel like he remembers Shirley Temple being invented.
He's got to be around I'm 54. He's got to be around my age.
I think
right?
he's a couple years older than you, but
Might
not
be a little north of me.
Not too far.
It wouldn't surprise me if he might even be younger. He might kind of just have that older look because of his gray in his beard.
Yes.
Which
Some
daughters will do that.
Some call it old.
Daughters.
Some call it distinguished.
I call it old.
Okay, so I've got the campaign pulled up right here, and I'm on the mock-up of the leather book. But you're telling me they're gonna put one of those shields on there.
Yeah, it's metal. It's gonna be beautiful.
Gosh, I wish I had one of mine down here so people could see what it looks like. Because I have.
I got the idea by looking at I looked at vintage leather books and I just kind of copied everything that they did on theirs. I did on mine.
Right.
So it's going to be super high quality. It's the first time I've shown 160 pages of my black and white art. So it's going to be a page from my other 20 books. And then also probably about 50 from Earthworm Jim 1 and 50 from Earthworm Jim 2. These are like the raw scans. So you see the white out on the page. You'll see the blue line. And then I'm writing about 16,000 words on black and white philosophy, which is on grayscale, morality, art theory, Earthworm Jim's soul. Everything goes in there. It's giant. So there's gonna be a lot to read, a lot of fun. And like I said, they're hand numbered. So it's gonna be an instant collector's item. One of my lower under 1,000 printed books. It's gonna be a beautiful. And it comes with a t-shirt. It comes with a t-shirt. I'm hand designing a t-shirt. There's going to be an enamel pin. There's going to be a patch with it. There is a metal Earthworm Jim trading card. Metal. Like it feels like, like a chunk of metal.
That's stretch goal you just hit, right?
Just now, 190 they just put over. So thank you all for those of you who are backers. I know we have some backers in our overlap in our audience. And I just thank you guys for that. It's mind blowing.
Absolutely.
I couldn't come up with anything for 200 grand. What am I going to do for that? Mike Miller suggested I'm getting this cancer taken off my arm on December 23rd. They're going to cut this chunk of my arm off. And he said, get a tattoo on that chunk.
I was thinking you got to get the chunk from the doctor and give that to a $5,000 contributor.
Oh, I'll send him the chunk of meat.
Yes. Own Doug's cancer.
That's very Warhammer if you think about it.
That's metal as heck.
I was thinking like tattoo something super degrading on this cancer skin, like a My Little Pony or something that I'd never want to keep, and then the doctor would feel really good about cutting it off.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you're supposed to get a tattoo on the cancer first.
Tattoo on the cancer and then cut the chunk of arm off.
Yeah. So, then you definitely have to have a tier where you sell the tattooed cancer skin.
It's got to be illegal to send someone human flesh over the mail, right? You can't put that in a bottle.
That's why you do it FedEx.
I see you have experience.
Yeah. Listen. Sometimes people have to pay in blood and sacrifice.
What are you drinking? What are you drinking tonight? What are you drinking?
I have a Coca-Cola, but I'm about to drink something else. You know what makes me sad? So
what an empty bottle makes you sad.
But I brought you a whiskey when I stopped at your house. Yeah. It was one of the best bourbons I've ever had, and it is not available in this state at all.
Really?
Yeah, I can't find it anywhere close by. It was so
I
good.
Drained that thing in 48 hours. Ange and I did. The bloodedness TenNapel and I and you. But this is Kettle One. I'm having some vodka.
Oh, okay.
The alcoholics drink.
Here's what I'll one up you.
What do you have?
Well, I gotta get a glass. Where are all my glasses?
Just dirt. Just wipe it with your t-shirt. Empty your Coke can and just pour it in there.
I got this ocean vodka glass.
I've never seen that before. That looks like the things that they put on your back. The Asians put on your back. When you
the cupping. This
cupping.
is okay. So if you go to your liquor store, there's an ocean organic vodka from Hawaii, and they come in these little globes. They make cups out of the bottles too at the distillery. They just cut the bottle off, and round up the edges to make a cup, a glass. Neat. And Lady Rackets and I went to the Ocean Distillery on Maui last time we were there a couple years back.
With Vic?
No, that was last year. That's on the Kona was HawaiiCon. This
so many islands, so hard to choose from.
This was our first vacation with no kids after having 5 kids, I think. Yeah. And we went to Maui and we did an adventure vacation in Maui where we did whatever. Like we had, our day was packed full of stuff. So we went like hang gliding, we did a helicopter, we did a horse ride on a banana plantation. We did the distillery tours. It was great. So
my only question as a parent of 4 is who watched the kids while you were having fun? Because that's a beautiful thing to do for moms out there. Mom of 5 kids is
dump
the kids. Who'd you dump them on?
Homeless guys will work wonders for $20. I mean,
that's right. You just find a nice one. You do a little background check.
Give them the old sniff test.
just look right here on the arms for scars, and if they're clean, you're good.
No, for that one, I believe it was a mix of my parents had not moved away from the state yet. And so it was a mix of my parents and Lady Rackets' parents. They, they split the week basically. So I am drinking Heyman's Old Tom Gin.
Ooh, that's a clear gin.
This is a clear gin. It's one of my favorite gins. It's very, very good. It's not expensive at all. It's like $28 or something.
Is it like moonshine tasting though? If it's clear, is it?
No, this one is very floral and fragrant, and but it's not like offensively high on the juniper.
Yeah,
but it's good. The Old Tom Gin, I recommend, and Heyman's, I really like it.
That's a beautiful drink. It's just water. It looks like water.
It's just someone said gin is just vodka. That's not far off. Gin is not vodka though. Gin is a rum, and then they take the rum and they spice it. They steep a bunch of crap in it like tea, and that's how they get the flavor of the gin.
But it's not as sweet as rum.
Right.
Rum's usually sweeter.
Yeah, I guess. Rum is like just not as well distilled vodka. It's a little dirtier vodka.
Well, and I put rum just above tequila. So it's like tequila's the bottom, then rum, then you get into, I can't do tequila very well. There's the beloved Miss TenNapel loves tequila, and it just sounds so trashy. It's like box wine, it's just so trash.
I had a 21-year aged tequila from Mexico. My buddy got married, and his mom brought this thing back from Mexico, and I drank it, and it was like, this is an expensive tequila, and kind of hate it.
It's got a funk to it. The cactus
does.
Is a funk, I'm telling you. But the Patron, like the silver or the stuff they sell in the Skull and stuff, it's the high end tequila is really good. You never get that. It just doesn't taste like tequila because it's
Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of tequila. But to each their own. I don't liquor shame. I don't liquor shame anybody unless they drink Fireball. Then I will a little bit.
Fireball absolutely needs to be excised off the planet. And I've tried Jägermeister another times, and that is so funky. And it's gross to me. It's like licoricey, and
the worst thing I ever drank was Malort.
Oh yeah. So that's the most famous.
It's disgusting.
Made to make you vomit stuff, which I've never tried, Nick, and I need to try that Malort. By the way, guys, if you want to see great videos, look up YouTube videos of people drinking Malort. It's called Malort face. Is after you take a shot, you make a Malort face because it's supposed to be the worst thing. There you go. Dude,
Someone sent me these. There were 3. I drank one. After the first sip, I mean, it took convincing of myself.
Yeah,
I had to work myself up to finish that
Malort
stupid
face.
bottle.
Malort face. Nick, if I buy one of those little samples, can I get one online? Can I order one online? Because we'll do a shot online together.
Oh, why are you roping me into this?
Dude, I know, because I want to see your face. I want to record it. We'll do a full shot of Malort.
Here, let me analogize that. That's like getting shrapnel in your arm, right? And it's like, oh, I went to the doctor and he says we have to get amputated. So we're gonna do this together. You and me are gonna get amputated. Videos of those
guys that taser each other. It's like we gotta do the dog shock collar thing. We gotta do Malort together online. That would be just a walking car wreck.
It's so gross.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, you guys got to watch Malort online of people making faces drinking it because it looks hideous.
I should find the clip of me drinking it because I did it on stream. It was
cool.
Awful.
Yeah, dude, send me that link because I want to see it.
I'll have to find it. I don't remember where it was.
I'll look it up. I'll look up Nick Ricadian Malort. Maybe it'll show up that way.
We'll see if I can find it, or if someone in my Discord might.
Yeah, guys, if any of the moderators find it, put it in the chat because I want to. How long ago was it?
I don't even remember. It was. I tried to wash this with bleach out of my mind forever.
Yeah, you poured Tabasco in your eyes to get the taste out.
This is why I'm immune to COVID. It's because I was cleansing myself of Malort.
So back to COVID, we covered the mask, which is kind of whatever. A fashion statement. The lockdowns, though.
Yes.
The lockdowns, which people want to do something. People are dying and people want to do something.
Yes.
And then the government goes, hey, I see opportunity here. Let's do some flexing. Right? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think that's we've been locked down for so long, and even when we haven't been locked down, things have been shut down because they're not allowed to open to full capacity. So a lot of things that could open don't. And the things that do, you might not be comfortable doing. When we were down in Florida, we took the kids to Busch Gardens.
Yeah.
All but the youngest one. My dad stayed with the youngest one. And then my mom and Lady Rackets and I took the 4 oldest. We went to Busch Gardens. Or no, my dad had the youngest 2. That's right. Because
they won't go on the scary rides.
And the kids park was closed.
Yeah.
So the kids park, because they didn't want to staff it, right? Like they weren't going to get that many like 4-year-olds, and so they don't staff the kids park, and so there's nothing for like a 4 or 5-year-old to do or younger. At Busch Gardens. But the rest of the park was great line-wise. You just walked right up and got on any ride because there's no one there. But you had to wear a mask the whole time outside in Florida. Now, when I say I don't mind wearing a mask, I'm in Minnesota. It's now actually kind of comfortable to have a mask on because
you'd wear one of those ski masks anyways, right?
It's like 15 degrees. You go out, you have your mask on. You're like, you know what? This isn't so bad. My face isn't so cold. That's okay. It's not awful. Then you get in the store. It's a little stuffy. But...
I look like a Mortal Kombat character,
right? I'm Kitana or whatever. Yeah. But no, at Busch Gardens it was awful because it's 90 degrees. And it's 90% humidity, and you're walking around with this stupid sauna on your face all day, and you're only allowed to stop when you sit down at a table to eat. And it wasn't fun. My point in all this is that even there are things that even when they are open, people might not want to go do them because it's inconvenient or difficult or they're closed or whatever. And
sure.
And I think that this is really killing. I think the combination of all this has really, I think it's ramped up the divide in the country. I really do. We're in our bubbles. We're in our spaces. We don't need to have empathy for people that we encounter. We don't need to engage ideas. Like you can just stay in your political space in your bubble on Twitter or whatever you don't have to worry about even like, you don't even have to worry about pissing off one of your friends and then running into them, right? At the market or whatever. You're not going to. So it's so people, I think, have gotten a little bit worse because of that. And I think,
but you do feel something worse happened this year to people.
Oh, what's that?
Like a darkness, like just anger.
Oh,
just rage and just fury and just disconnecting. Like I don't, first of all, I don't believe Trump is any more divisive than Biden. Biden's divisive.
No. Yeah. No, not at all.
So the idea that Trump is uniquely divisive, that's bullshit. We're divided. We're divided on values and along political lines or whatever. And I'm not going to unite with Biden. He's just as divisive as someone who's on the opposite end of Trump.
I think Trump is merely blunt.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's really it. Trump is blunt. Other than that, he's been a relatively successful president. He had a good economy up until COVID. I guess people can quibble over the handling of COVID, but it's all based on like any criticism that you have about that is based on make-believe or hindsight, one of those two. And the hindsight isn't even that good because you don't know what would have happened otherwise in any capacity.
None of us do, by the way. I just now watched an Anderson Cooper video on CNN. And I got to say, I know he's a man and all, but he's got beautiful blue eyes.
Anderson Cooper?
It made me uncomfortable. He was going off on Trump saying that by March, they're predicting right now it's 250,000 deaths in America by March, 400 something thousand, which I don't see how we're going to ever get there. But he was complaining that Trump didn't do enough and that Trump's response, he was like, you could have at least said to wear a mask. And Trump's response is, they're not for me. And he was really outraged that there wasn't enough Trump doing something about it because he seemed cocksure that less people would have died if Trump did anything different.
But that's the thing. They can't articulate what should have been done. And more importantly, what is within the purview of the president to do. Arguably there are some other steps that can be taken. And the funny thing was watching leftist commentators write opinion pieces about how they expected Trump to take authoritarian control under the crisis, and then he didn't, and now they were mad about it, and they were mad for two reasons. One, because he was supposed to be an authoritarian, and two, because they figured authoritarianism was the way, because these people are authoritarians. It's not like this is some libertarian guy who is lamenting it. This is a statist who's like, I wanted Trump to take control, but then of course they would have criticized him for taking control the entire time, so it's silly. But okay,
and even when he proposed the vaccine, they said we're not going to take it. So no matter what he does, they're going to say it's a failure. What's
your opinion on the economy pre-COVID? Because I've got a guy. And I've seen he's not alone, and I'm not trying to call him out or anything like that, but he says the economy was not good going into COVID. And I mean, I'm looking at very low unemployment. I'm looking at a stock market racing to the top. I'm not sure what other measures of economic factors we're looking at, but we're looking at I guess lower trade deficits are an illusion. They don't really matter. It's a measure of the difference of trade. It's not
the only thing you could get them on. That's the only thing you could get them on is.
But even trade deficits don't matter. Like legitimately, they have no economic impact of their own. So it's like it's just the difference between what we send out versus what we take in, and it's irrelevant to whether or not that's a good number or not.
What about the debt?
The debt has been the debt forever. It's like the debt once we hit George Bush, really, like once Bush hits post 9/11, the debt becomes a fiction that is useful for whatever party isn't in power to rail against. Yeah. Bush skyrockets the debt. Then Obama exponentially increases the debt under Bush. Then we've got Trump running on debt as well. And we're coming to this realization, I guess, at some point that that the debt will either kill us or we'll ignore it forever. And I'm not sure which one. But
it's all hypothetical because we've never been here. It's abstract. Plus, if America gets a cold, the rest of the world gets a flu. So we can get away with the debt because if the dollar breaks, the rest of the world will just be destroyed. So we can get away with it.
That's a weird part of having a currency that is the primary currency of the planet. And the baseline currency is that we do get a lot of leeway on this stuff. Now, I don't like debt. Before anybody mistakes that, I don't like having.
I hear Q rolling over in his bed.
I do not like running a deficit. I think we should have a balanced budget or better. And I don't think we can do that by increasing taxes. That's not the problem. The problem is the spending problem.
Entitlements.
Right. And I do. Mandatory spending is out of control. And they need to rework it to do that. But then, there are
that's how you lose a campaign. Any politician who runs on shrinking the debt and cutting entitlements, you lose. So there's no system in place that's going to make it work as long as people aren't willing to face reality. We're not willing to face reality, so we're going to have a debt. Go.
Right. But that's so I mean, the debt is a looming problem, but I don't really feel like it's a different or bigger problem than it was. I mean, the debt number is bigger, but the problem, whenever it hits, will hit whether or not a particular president increase the debt a particular amount. There's just somewhere there's a tipping point that will trigger, or it won't. I mean, that's the other possibility. Something could. There's a hypothetical where the debt gets eliminated by other means. And I actually thought there was a possibility that we might
blaming China and relieving the debt. Just so you guys know, Trump talked about floating this a little bit, where by blaming China that we might just extract the amount of money from the debt and just default on it and say, nope, we don't owe you this amount anymore.
And all that would have been a brilliant plan. Renegotiate and honestly, given a Trump second term, I think it's on the table that he works he's a negotiator. He's a deal maker. That's his brand. That's who he is. And so I think there's a real possibility that was kind of in a long-term plan. Negotiate with China, reduce some of the debt, and then make a showing of unity or whatever afterwards. It's a big thing and it diffuses some tensions. Maybe. I don't know if they do that, if China goes for it. But China's currencies all pretend too. So it's like they can write off debt and they're a state economy. So it really doesn't matter for them in a very different way than it matters for us. So anyway, this is
so the economy was solid before Trump. I believe that because my stocks were sure doing good. I was happy with those.
I mean, I read 100 million articles about how the economy was about to fail any day. And those started the moment that Trump was elected. Right. They weren't there under Obama, but the moment Trump was elected, it's like, this economy is fragile and it's on the precipice. And for 3.5 years, it wasn't fragile or on the precipice. And even through COVID, it's actually rebounded pretty well.
I'm shocked at how well it's done under COVID.
Yeah.
Aren't you? I'm shocked with businesses boarded up and not able to conduct themselves well. The stock market just keeps humming along. I keep waiting for that. I'm going like, guys, I mean,
there should be a market correction at some point, and it hasn't happened. So I get it. I get why they're saying that it's on the precipice. I think the problem they're having is they can't identify what bubble will pop, right? Like we had the housing market correction. Okay. It's still ripe for another one. That thing is not corrected very well. We had the .com issue. Is it big tech? Maybe it's big tech. I don't know. Amazon is off the charts wealthy. Google is off the charts wealthy. Microsoft, Apple, they're all these huge companies. Apple's like what, a $12 trillion company or something. So
in 1999, I would not buy Apple or Amazon. In 1999. I wouldn't buy it because my stock guy goes, Doug, this is Mars. They're so over evaluation. You can't buy it. I'm going, but I use Amazon every day. They're going, don't do it. I'm like, I listen to him.
Yeah.
Dude, I would be so flush with money. I'd be 10 times more of a jerk than I am now if I just would have gone with Amazon.
When I was 15, I think it was, for my 15th birthday, my uncle gave me 3 shares of Apple stock. And at the time, it was worth it was about $30 a share. So it was around a $100 gift. Within the week, Apple stock crashed to under it was about $10 a share. So he gave me 7 more. So I had 10 shares of Apple.
What a good guy.
I mathed it out. And if I would have held on to that, it's worth like $40,000 today from all the splits that they did. But I sold it when it was worth about it went up pretty quickly, and it was worth about $450, and I sold it to buy an AMD Athlon computer or whatever. It was a disaster of a choice.
Yeah. Don't ask me about stocks. I'm good at making money. I'm good at losing money.
Yeah.
That's all.
But anyway, so the lockdown though, I do want to get back to this. If people want to disagree with me over the economy being good, that's fine. There's a lot of things that could happen. Sure. We don't know when they'll happen. But
it's after the crash. Everyone will say, "See, I told you so. See, I told you the economy was on shaky ground." And if it keeps going up, you'll just be making money hand over fist in your retirement or whatever. Right. And everyone's like, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy of whatever you want to believe, it will happen. Eventually it will crash. It will correct.
Yeah. And so I have no idea if that was going to happen during a Trump presidency or not. But anyway, so by and large, then we get to the foreign engagements, and I see something special. I see no new war for 4 years. And I go, that's new.
That's rare.
That's rare. And the biggest military action we seem to have really engaged in was that missile strike on Syria very early on, with very low. I don't know if there were any casualties from that, because they warned them. They're like, missiles are coming. Your shit's about to get wrecked. And then they sent the missiles to an airfield, and basically that was the extent of it. And I wasn't a big fan of that move, but then stuff starts happening. We have Middle East on a tenuous peace deal that seems to be holding better than previous ones. We've got North and South Korea talking to each other, which is a real strange thing. Those relations seem to be going pretty well. And again, most importantly, we're not sending new troops out. Now, there's still too many out there. I would like to see them come home. By the way, did you see the story where senior military officers were flat out lying to Trump and everybody? They've been lying to Trump and everybody about the number of U.S. troops in Syria. They've been
Mattis and those guys?
Not Mattis, someone else. Mattis, he stepped down a couple years ago. But no, they've been leading Trump to the idea that there were 200 soldiers in Syria, but there's actually a whole bunch more. And they've been flipping lying about it to the commander-in-chief and to us. Like, lie about it to the president, that's bad. Lie about it to the people, and then induce lies from the administration, that's worse.
I didn't know about Syria, but I know that Trump has said that he's trying to draw down all of Afghanistan before he leaves.
That's the new announcement on Afghanistan. The other one was literally like someone in the Defense Department, like, doing a lull, like Ruffle Lamau. Trump didn't know we have way more than 200 people in Syria, and he's been talking about it. It's like, this isn't a joke. This is military action in foreign nations. Like, let's not pretend that that's a good thing. But yeah, so that's that. How
do you feel about potential Biden commander-in-chief in charge of?
I'm pretty sure he's going to forget that the military exists.
Yeah, that's the good news, is he doesn't even know at any given moment.
Yeah.
Even who he is. He's all, I won? Yay.
No, okay, so, but on a serious note, one of the first articles I see after the Biden presumed victory is that Biden plans to go back to business as usual with Iran.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, great, thank you. That's what we need. Please go back to business as usual in the Middle East.
Send them $400 billion in cash on a plane again. Just stacks of cash.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
That's
the Iran deal, the Paris Climate Accord, right? We're going to be back in Paris.
Yep. Back to, again, you want to start messing with the economy, whatever it is.
Mexico City, we're paying for abortions overseas. They're going to do that. They're going to he reverses that on day one. That's every president, every Democrat, every Republican stops abortions being paid for overseas. Every Democrat starts them back up again.
Yeah, it's
mostly Uganda, by the way. We're mostly killing Africans.
Yeah, well,
Black
that's
people.
the same as here. I mean, that's just the legacy of abortion, is that it's predominantly designed to market to and thin out the herd of black people.
Target blacks.
It's insane.
In the name of Black Lives Matter, has there ever been a more ironic name in the world?
And it's not even a secret. That's the best part. It's like it's not. David Duke couldn't plan this if he tried, and it's
the Klan's wet dream.
Yeah.
If you were a Klansman, would you lynch a black man, or would you just take him out in the womb? I mean, wouldn't you rather take him out in the womb by just the hundreds of thousands and millions by now? Or would you wait till they were older where they could experience a little bit of freedom, a little bit of life, and then take them out? No, you'd want to just completely blot them out. And that's the entire Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, that was the stated purpose, to get rid of the undesirables. And in 1920, I'm sure they meant rich white men. That's what they were after.
Oh, sure. Rich white men. Yeah, they're so.
But it's
they're
crazy.
So targeted.
It's crazy. So yeah.
So we've already gone over the mass fraud. Lockdown, completely unnecessary. Is kind of that's my foregone conclusion. Unnecessary.
I don't know. I mean, I agree that it's unnecessary, but let me pose the argument in the alternative.
Sure.
Even if it's necessary, I'm not sure that our nation is supposed to have it. There are lots of necessary things that we don't get, right? It's necessary giving everybody a place to live, for example. Sure. I can make a moral argument that that's necessary. Sure. And I think we'd probably be able to make that moral argument that our society should do that in some way, and just say maybe government shouldn't, but that
we try it with HUD housing, and
right.
Jimmy Carter does it privately with what's the charity that he does?
Is it Habitat
for Humanity? So
right.
There's a private version, the HUD public version. Bernie Sanders thinks everyone should have a roof. Government paid for a roof over their heads. You basically create slums.
Right. And so what I think personally is that we as people should voluntarily make it happen in some way or another. I think that that's the ideal that we get to. And do you ever get there perfectly? Probably not, because we're broken. That's fine. But I don't think government is ever the vehicle to do it, because they won't do it competently. They can't. That's the dirty secret of government, is you can't do it competently, because not everybody needs or even wants a nice place to live. Some people just need a place. And so, but the government can't, by nature of the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law, they can't give some people a worse place. It's not allowed. So it doesn't work.
So they have to always have this national one size fits all, as if everyone's the same cookie cutter. Whether if he's North Dakota or Los Angeles, they treat him the same.
Exactly. So, but anyway, but as a society, I think it'd be great if we were able to provide a home or a place to live that is safe for everybody. However, liberty gets in the way, in the way that I like, by the way. That's not a criticism of liberty. Liberty says, the government can't force us to do that. We have to choose it. And that's how it should be. It would be great if there were no murder, for example. But we can't. The way to get to no murder is simple. Just jail everybody in solitary confinement and never let them out.
They can't touch each other.
Exactly.
There, you've eliminated it.
Or the government could just exterminate everybody too. Then there's no murder left. If you just sanction the killing, there's no more murder. So so there are ways to get there, and we don't because of liberty. And I think the lockdown is a product of that. I can't even find legal precedent for us saying that you have a right to not get a virus. Like that you have some sort of, and that right would then confer a duty upon the government to protect you from it, or a duty upon even another person to protect you from it. And I don't think you can go, like I can't go spit in people's mouth in Walmart, but I can't if I'm healthy either.
Yeah.
That's the secret. It's like, well, you can't cough in someone's face. Actually, you can't cough in someone's face anyway if they don't want it.
Well, you can at Dollar General, but that's just a different story.
That's just because everybody at Dollar General has the same kink.
What about the morality of what if the people all decide that we're okay with lockdown? Not obviously not 100% of the people, but I just wish, I like the idea of individuals doing what they want, right? So if a business wants to be 100%, we will lock it down and we will wear a mask. That's great. It's the government mandate that freaks me out. I don't trust Biden. I don't trust AOC. I just don't trust them telling me to do anything. They're already suspect to me because I know that Marxism courses through their veins. There's
that. There's also their argument from authority fallacy of trusting the experts. It's like, here's the reality. There is no COVID expert. Don't exist. COVID hasn't been around that long. So, and that's evidence because we haven't found an expert who's competently told us how to handle and manage this thing. So we know.
And Fauci is not a doctor like sitting in a laboratory somewhere doing research. He's speaking. He's Trump's mouthpiece. Like he goes and he speaks on behalf of the government. He's not a scientist any more than you and I are. He's a pundit.
He's a politician.
Yeah.
He's a political agent and an entity. And Biden he's already named his like 3-person panel because one Fauci wasn't enough. Now we have 3 Faucis basically. Yeah. So that'll be great. And the one immediately is like, oh, just a 6-week lockdown. Did you see what that guy said? He said, we have a big pile of money. We can pay all of the lost wages. We can pay all of the lost income for small businesses and medium-sized businesses. And we can pay for all of the lost revenue to county and state governments.
Okay, so this is a moral question.
Well, it's not even a moral question yet. It's
wait a minute. I'm going to ask you a moral question.
Okay, you ask it.
I'm interrupting you, but so when they did the first payout and they said, hey, free money, free loan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have a business. Give me that $28,000. And they gave me the money and it's going to be excused through the bank. If we prove that we paid whatever. Is that moral?
Yes.
So the next time he's going to offer it again, small businesses, bailout, I should sign up for that. Get my money.
Yes, you should.
Okay. That's just my question.
I fully believe that because whatever the expenditure of that money is, it's spent. It's spent. It's done. If you don't take it, it's still gone. It's still not going to
go to some other jerk.
It's going somewhere. It's going somewhere. Take it. I have no problem with that. It's a nonsense. It's not like if everybody if you could get everybody to not take it on Earth, which is impossible, then maybe there's an argument for the morality, but it doesn't exist. Not everybody can take it. You know why I'm mad at you is because my bank dragged its feet and did not give me the loan. And they were like, we need more information. And I'm like, okay, what do you want? So they told me. So I gave it to them. And they didn't give me my PPP loan. And I never got it.
You need to go to Wells Fargo.
That's my bank that I used.
Oh, well, then you need to go to a different branch with human beings working because our Wells Fargo, man, they're so Johnny on the spot. They just called me the other day and go, are you sure you have this deadline coming up to get your forgiveness of the loan? I'm going, oh, you're such a bro.
I hate your Wells Fargo because mine is terrible.
Free. They're giving me free money.
It's awful. No, I do think I don't think anybody should feel bad about a stimulus. Look, the morality of the stimulus question left the building when the government shut down your ability to work.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. There's nothing else to say.
And I'm paying my crew. I've got a huge crew working on these books. I've got at least 8 contractors, at least 8 people.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. I am also an employer, and I did not get my PPP loan, so I'm furious.
PPP.
I'm still mad.
You didn't get your PP. That's all.
Well, Lost Wingman.
There'll be a lot more bailouts. Don't worry. Go ahead.
Lost Wingman says, Lamau, this dude is still using the scam bank. Listen here, buddy. I didn't want to use Wells Fargo for it, but it was the only bank where I had a business account set up in time to get the PPP loan. I don't primarily bank with them. I hate them with the passion.
As you should.
Happen to have an existing business checking account with like $200 in it just sitting there. And I was like, okay, I qualify because of this. Whereas everywhere else, I didn't have a business account. I didn't need one. So
they give me free bennies all the time. Like they extend our credit. They go, you can borrow any amount of money you want.
Yeah. Well,
they just go have fun, man. I'm going, wow, really?
You know, I worked for them. And when they got tagged for fraudulently signing people up for credit cards, I reported that multiple times over a year before they ended up doing it and enforcing it.
They were giving it to people in trouble on purpose.
Yes.
To like get them on the hook. Yeah.
And everyone I reported it to was happy to have it happen. Make no mistake. They all knew about it. And I went several layers up. We're talking, I Karen'd all the way to the community banking president, which covers the Midwest. The guy who covered the Midwest. They knew about it. None of these people were innocent. And by the way, the people who were doing it got rewarded with bonuses. And the people who were reporting it got rewarded with reprimand. So, fuck you, Wells Fargo. I hope you catch fire in Minecraft.
Yeah, as they grow exponentially every year. They're all rah, 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 rah. They're like soaking in their bathtub full of money.
Yeah.
Rah, rah, rah. We're crying. We feel really sad. We're opening up a brand new initiative to help the unprivileged, to help a variety of people.
So here's what I'm doing. I got to ask you, because so I signed up on Kickstarter for your book.
Yeah.
We're going schizophrenic on this.
Yeah.
So I'm getting, and I signed up at like top tier or one of the top tiers. So
you did. That's one of the top tiers if you got a page. Yeah.
So I'm getting all the stuff, except the only thing I don't get, I think, is the black and white leather. So
yeah, that's because that is a premium. That thing is costing me an arm and a leg to make, and the t-shirts and everything else. So that is, you have to get, but there's a tier made on the Indiegogo for people who've already backed Kickstarter. It has just the leather book.
Okay, so that's the one I should buy. You're telling me. Okay,
I think it's 150 or something in there. 145, 150.
Doing it right now while we talk.
Sweet, I get to watch the numbers go up.
Because
193, guys. 193 is outrageous.
So I'm buying this, but I have to have it off screen. I'll show my receipt. But
you don't want to get your.
I don't want you to see my credit card, people.
That's all.
Let's see. Here we go. Shipping address. That one. No, I think I want my street. How do you ship these? Does it go through the mail or UPS or FedEx or which one is it?
It's whatever the most reliable, cheapest form of mailing can get it. Usually it's USPS.
Okay, good. Because won't.
But we'll use all. We'll use UPS in some instances. Sometimes we'll get a deal on FedEx and we'll do FedEx. So.
Well, I'm doing my PO box is the thing.
Yeah.
So that would go USPS. You can't do UPS or FedEx to a PO box.
Yep.
Let's see. So I'm doing.
That's a perfect example of where we have to make adjustments to get to the PO box.
Oh, but do you want me to do? Because I can put my actual address in there. I don't care.
Your mailing address, home mailing address is always a more reliable thing to mail to than a PO box. We have more options to mail to a home address than a PO box.
I'm just telling you, if you try and send it through the mail to my home address, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I don't have a mailbox. I got rid of it.
Okay.
Mailboxes are government slavery.
Sure. Well,
Actually,
we'll get it. We get it to your house. The guy brings it up to your door and he takes a picture of it and tells you.
I was mostly kidding on that. What? Oh my gosh. Give me just a second. I gotta go.
Sure.
It says I put in the wrong card number, so I gotta go get my wallet. I'll be right back.
Look at Nick committing internet fraud live on YouTube's. So I've been working like crazy on this book. It is, it's insane to draw a page a day. And then also so I not only ink it and I write it, but I have to like pretend to be a dad at a family of 4. So I spend time with the kids, spend time with the beloved Miss TenNapel. My body's been just melting because I haven't been able to do any form of exercise. So usually just to stay alive and try and fight gravity, I either go for a run or lift weights or do push-ups or whatever. I haven't done any of that for months. So I'm just turning into a giant COVID blob. But we built on a new studio on the back of the house. I'm about to move in. And there's this feeling when you move into a new room where it's like anything, I can create anything in there. So like my little mind is going of some new fine art pieces. I want some new Neverhood based art I want to do. And I mean like fine art, like ink on paper is what I'm hoping to do. There he is.
What happened while I was gone? Someone says,
I was just telling the people. I was just telling the people like what I've been working on and what my plans are. Cause I'm about to move into a new studio in the back of the house. I built a new studio.
Oh yeah. You were, that was almost done when I was there.
Yeah. It's there. Awesome. Hardwood floors. The lighting's all in. It's beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm just saying how like it turns me on as an artist to go, I can make anything in this room. What'll I make?
So I took the opportunity to grab this. It's got one of those.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Metal shield, embossing, debossing, gold foil, gold gilded edges, ribbed spine. That's a beautiful book.
Yeah, there's a whole like set of these. It's the Solar War or the Siege of Terra section of Warhammer, and they're all breaking my bank.
That is a beautiful book though.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they're not messing around when you see that. Cause I'm in competition with like digital. It's like, the kids these days, they go, we want just a digital book. I just want to read it on my iPad. And I'm going like, that's not the experience I'm selling.
No,
I'm
please
selling
never
you,
do.
I'm selling you curled up with this physical book. I just think stories go in your head in a warmer way when you read them analog and you feel the binding and you put it on your library shelf or on a coffee table or whatever. That's what I make.
So here we go. I'm posting the receipts. We have the receipts. I'm posting the proof. Here we go.
You're a rock star, man.
My contribution ID is number 2171. I don't know what that means. But.
That's pretty good. That'll still get you a good number.
Okay.
I can't wait. I get excited too, like because I designed the book like in Photoshop, right? Where you're doing these layers of what each, they make a die cut for what presses into the leather to make the embossing and the deboss. And it just looks like, it's black and white art, but then you actually see it in 3D and smell the book and all that. It's just insane.
Okay. When are you audio booking Earthworm Jim though?
It's coming. I'm still audio booking Bigfoot Bill, and I think I do Earthworm Jim. It's due by February. I have to do it.
I was joking. I didn't know you were actually audio booking them. That's great.
Yeah, I tend to read the books to the backers at some point. I'll do my reading on like a YouTube channel reading of it, so you can read along with me when you get the hardbound book.
Sure.
And I'll do the voices and do a little bit of commentary on what I'm thinking, but usually it's just like keep your head in the story.
You should dig deep into your repertoire of celebrities and make them voice the characters.
Now, I've talked to Vic Mignogna about that, and he's totally open to it. But it's a look at that. We're at 193, 382. Thanks to Nick. Thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I can't wait for, well, I can't wait for all of it. But when you announced this, I was like, because I'm such a nerd.
No, it's gonna be greasy. You're gonna open this thing up. It's gonna be amazing. It's thick. It's just it's gonna be a read. And it's gonna be a beautiful art book. So.
Yeah,
I've been talking to Vic Mignogna about I decided to use him instead on an animated show. I'm putting together like 3 teams to do 3 little animated pilots on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like short, like 45-second animated clips of just going for humor or going for whatever. One's more rude, one's more dumb, one's more, dark. And I have different teams set up, but like Vic, I want to use to do voices on all 3. So I'm going to use that guy. I'll use really anyone, but we're going to have a blast is the whole goal. So I'm just saying it's a lot of work though, is the thing. And while I'm in this mode of kind of wrapping up a campaign, it's life encompassing.
Well, if you need anyone, I know a guy who can do all kinds of stupid voices.
Yeah, especially a nasal voice, I'm thinking.
Who?
You.
I was deflecting your joke.
No, I'm using you. I'll use anyone.
If you want to do parodies of Sesame Street or whatever, I can do that too, and Muppets.
Okay.
I can say all the dirty stuff you want as Kermit. I can do that. I actually like guys that kind of do their own voice. To me, it's more about the performance and the acting than trying to be a goofy cartoon voice or whatever. I like. Yeah, I gotcha.
That's kind of how they did it on Adventure Time too. I like a guy to sound like a guy, and then but I'm more about the acting where if you tell a joke, you have to project. That's all.
Okay, I don't know how to do that. I've never told a joke.
I'll direct. I've directed over like 200 episodes of animation, so I know how to run a room.
Probably. I mean, maybe you do. I haven't seen any evidence of it.
I kind of know how to get it out of it. And by the way, Vic Mignogna is another one too. He's a great director.
Yes, he has lots of experience directing. And fun fact, many of the people he directed hated the fact that he was directing them.
Yeah, are trying to destroy his career right now. I know the feeling, Vic. I know the feeling. Monster. It's so cartoonish now. Cancel culture has gotten so cartoonish now.
Yeah.
Like now it's like that Gina lady who's on Mandalorian. They're like, she liked a tweet.
Gina Carano.
Explain. Yeah, Gina Carano. They're like, explain this. Like Hanson, the band, is another one where they didn't post anything on Black Lives Matter Day. So like a huge chunk of their fandom started attacking them. I'm like, welcome.
You're attacking Bop.
Yep. Well, yeah. It's like, welcome to the little world, to my little world. It's going to be great. Everybody. But that's why you got to take a stand. Again.
Well, that Chris Pratt.
Don't be mean. Take a stand. Yeah. Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt got in trouble for not attending a fundraiser he wasn't invited to.
That's right. Welcome to Biden's America.
Yes, it's good.
It's gonna be funnier. It is going to be funnier. It's going to be so ridiculous. It's going to be funny. So you have
but terrifying too. I think
it's terrifying because it has the state behind it, right? That's what.
Right.
If it's just one guy with 100 followers, who cares? When they have the state behind them, and they can keep you from conducting business unless you say this, or and there's people who are more vulnerable than we are, right? Because if you were a neutral voice online and your audience say like the way you played a video game and suddenly they found out X or Y about you, you would have say 10% of your audience at war with you instantly.
Yep. Oh, it doesn't take much to really, especially today. And with the election is so polarizing, and I get hell from both sides, but I think for the most part, most of my viewers are staying with me. They know, right? Like they know, they push back, and that's because hopefully fostered an environment where people are, they feel like it's okay to disagree, and that, like, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And push back and stuff, and that's cool. We can
It's important to be able to nurture an environment where people can disagree. And actually, that's what American freedom's about.
But I do get hell. Like, covering this election has been lots of people mad. One, that I'm not like saying Trump is going to definitely win.
Yeah.
And they're like, talk about the fraud. And I'm like, well, I want to talk about it, but I want them to bring it. I don't want them to tweet about it. I want the evidence to show up in a court document or something, so that we can credibly talk about it. That would be great. And then I've got the other people like, suck it up, you lost, copium.
Yeah.
By the way,
I don't want to, I'm more worried about gaslighting my side.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely, hey, this is my bias. I'm Team Trump. I'm rooting for him to win. But I'm also like, I don't want him seated if he didn't win. And none of us know what the count is. So let him go look at it and count it and tell me how the machines work and how it all happened. And I'm keeping my powder dry until then. I don't want to get on my side and say, oh, Trump totally win. And I like experts. I like sober experts that say, Trump win. And that's our sense, is that he absolutely took this thing. I'm going, oh, cool. Go.
The problem is,
get us some evidence.
I like the sober experts doing that, but Giuliani and what's her face? The chick who was just on Lou Dobbs.
Who's that? Oh, the lawyer chick.
Yeah, and I was like,
now she has gravitas with me. She doesn't have gravitas with you?
Not after I watched that interview on Lou Dobbs, and she was literally saying nonsense.
Really?
Yeah, that was. I watched it last night. Someone sent it to me, so we watched it on the show.
The Dominion machine stuff. Is that what you mean by nonsense? What do you mean by nonsense?
Yeah, it was. I can't remember.
She's the one that makes me feel more credible, because she just seems so serious.
Sidney Powell. Wow. Sidney Powell is the name. Her. No, the problem was, like, there were several things that she said, and okay, if you take individual things that she said, sure,
yeah,
there's some good stuff in there. But when you combine it with the nonsense she was saying, I now don't know if she's got good stuff or if she's crazy.
So I don't know any better because I'm done, but what's the nonsense?
I don't remember.
What's your biggest...
Doug, I was drinking and I watched it last night on my show. I don't remember what torqued me off. I'd have to go back. I'll send you a clip. I'll clip it for you.
Yeah.
And send it to you.
I'd love to know what part of it's nonsense, because to me, I'm all going, wow, look at this one. Release
the Kraken was funny.
Release the Kraken. That's what I say.
Yeah, that was funny, but that's not impactful.
She goes, we're going to release the Kraken. I'm going, okay, good. Yeah, let's see it. Where's the Kraken?
No, I
haven't seen the Kraken yet.
There were some specific things. I can't remember what they were. But I'll send you the timestamp or the clip or whatever.
But go with me on a thought experiment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there not election fraud in every single election we've ever had?
Yep, 100%. I said it before the election. I've said it for the past several years. Whenever I've talked about elections, election fraud occurs. The idea that election fraud doesn't occur is ludicrous. And I hate when I talk to people that I like about election fraud, because they go, well, no one was convicted, or only 5 people were convicted in the last election. It's like, that's because the way our system's set up, it's almost impossible to put your name on a ballot.
That's right.
So other than some absentee ballots that are specifically segregated out for issues, if your absentee ballot is good, then it just goes in with all the other ballots, and they can't track your vote because we value a secret ballot. So It's so hard to track the fraud that it becomes
We've never looked, though. Not this way. We've never looked. We've never broadly looked. We've never looked. I'm just saying, what if they look in the Dominion code and see keystrokes? Would it surprise you if there was enough fraud to turn an election?
Okay, here, Awig reminded me of what really torqued me off about the interview.
Okay.
She said, there are tons of crimes being committed, and they're going to be prosecuted or whatever, right? Then in like the next sentence, because Lou Dobbs says, okay, so you know about criminal investigation. She says, I have no knowledge of criminal investigations. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Okay.
You just said there's a bunch of crimes happening that are being
a little
committed.
alarm went off.
And then Lou Dobbs is like, oh, really? Tell me about these crimes. Like, well, I got no knowledge of the criminal. It's like, oh, come on. If you're saying crimes are being committed and then you say there's no knowledge of it, then you Robert Bork your credibility.
She only had to name one and she'd have had you still strung along.
Yeah,
she only had to name one clear one.
But see, this is the ultimate problem with the hype that's been going on. And it's why I hate it, because I want to be a hype. I want to be like, yeah, go get him. Because I've had this problem with election fraud forever. I go, wait a minute. I personally could drive to like 8 polling stations and cast 8 votes.
That's right.
And no one can stop me. And if I don't admit to it, I will never be convicted.
That's right. And
the worst part is, even if I am convicted, you know what they can't do? They can't take away my fraudulent votes that I cast.
Yeah.
That's the dark secret of this, by the way, guys. Anybody who's ever been convicted for fraudulently voting in more than one thing, their vote's still counted. They can't uncount it. It's not possible to uncount the ballot.
But wouldn't there be, when they're talking about votes coming in boxes and stacks at 3 a.m?
Right. Yes, that would be a great thing for them to credibly allege in a court document. So here's part of the problem. In Michigan, I think it was.
Michigan, I'm talking about. Yep.
One of their cases got dismissed just yesterday. And in the dismissal, the judge specifically points out, no, this might have been Pennsylvania. Because I don't think it was Michigan. Michigan's really far ahead. Hard to overturn because we're talking over 100,000 votes. So, yeah, I mean, yes, if they can bring that big box in and say 138,000 votes, these are all bad. Okay, cool. Like if they can do that. But this is I think in Pennsylvania, it was like 4,500 votes. And the judge dismissed it. And they said that the presidential campaign hasn't even alleged that there was fraud occurring. And these are absentee ballots that were challenged. And in their lawsuit, they don't actually allege fraud. They don't claim that there was any fraudulent activity about the ballots. And that was stated like 3 times in the judge's opinion. And so we have, and I read an article about this today, and we can talk about that too. But on one hand, we have the campaign talking this big game about all the fraud that they've uncovered. And on the other hand, we have their legal teams not actually inserting accusations of fraud into the lawsuits.
Right. That's what I heard about. All the lawsuits were very timid. So big bluster out to the public, very timid and general in the lawsuits.
Yes.
Because that's a lawyer, that's a legal team putting their neck on the line. Like you can get nailed if they go and overextend themselves, right?
Right. And so now the new, I read an article today about how Rudy Giuliani ruined Trump's carefully crafted legal approach. It's hyperbolic and it's propagandic, so don't take it that way. But there is some question as to what's going on there with the difference between the public approach and the legal approach they've been doing. And the speculation in the article, which might be good speculation, again, canceling out for bias, is if Trump is dissatisfied with how his legal presentation has been going so far because they're not alleging the fraud in the way that they need to, and he's put some lithium batteries in Rudy Giuliani and told him to go to work, well, then maybe we'll see that public bluster that's been going on start cropping up in legal filings, and then we can talk about it and we can explore the issues. But right now, with what's on the table, they're talking 2 different games, and the game they're talking in public is one that they should be winning. The game they're talking in their filings is one that is a loser. And that's the big problem that I have. It's like, but
because
again,
I listen to all podcasts of never Trumpers, so Republicans that are just like rooting against Trump. They're all like, I read the legal opinion, he's got nothing. And then all the pro-Trumpers like Eric Metaxas and all these guys going like, Trump won this election. You'll see it's going to get overturned. I'm just like, I don't know who to believe because I don't know. I can't understand the legalese.
Okay, so Trump's biggest victory so far was in Pennsylvania, and it was in regards to these votes. The Secretary of State or the Secretary of Elections
he set aside late coming votes.
He extended the deadline for late coming votes to the 9th of November. And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court did finally come out and say he can't do that. He can't set that aside. Now, the real question that needs to follow from all of this, and this is not just in Pennsylvania, this is in every state, is can any state accept any ballots past a certain time on election day? And what is accepting of a ballot? Now, these aren't that obvious of a question, right? It may seem like you taking your ballot and running it through a machine is accepting a ballot. And it might be. It might be. But accepting a ballot might actually be you run it through the machine and then it gets reviewed by a counter. It has the opportunity to be challenged by a poll challenger. And then it goes in the counted box after it's been verified and certified. Okay, if that, and that's how Montana, back in 1944, I think it was, decided that is what a vote actually was. Not just giving your ballot to the election office, but actually having your ballot received, counted, challenged, and approved. That is the vote. And so if they go to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court says, like, think about the implication of this, because we all vote on Tuesday, but our results haven't been counted in some states still. They're still counting.
That's right.
But the Constitution says Congress shall choose the time, will set the time for choosing electors. And then in U.S. Code, 3 U.S. Code Article 1, it says that date is the first Tuesday following the first Monday of November. And so the real question is, if a vote is counted on Wednesday, is it a vote?
Right.
And if you go to what Montana said in 1944, and this is only in the Montana Supreme Court, and it's a limited question, so it's not precedential to any other place or anything like that. But if you go by what their analysis was and what they said, well, then no. A vote after Tuesday that's counted after Tuesday is not actually a vote.
Sure.
And so this needs to be resolved by the Supreme Court at some point. Because if Tuesday is the deadline that it's supposed to be, then what we should have is the count completed on Tuesday, which means that County Board of Elections in Wayne County need to set their deadline for casting their votes a week earlier.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to start happening. So the last Tuesday in October is when we actually have election day. And then we have election counted day on the first Tuesday following the first Monday in November. And that is a constitutional vote. Then we know, because all the counting is done by 8 p.m. that day, and we can go ahead and say, this is the result. And that's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's...
How is it legally fair? Because the way America is created, you have a bunch of different states doing things a bunch of different ways, because each state has a lot of leeway to say we're our own country or whatever. Mm-hmm. But how am I an equal citizen if I have to show up and vote and sign my name? And in another state, I can just write with a Sharpie on a piece of paper and throw it to them and say 5 days later.
Because
how are we equal Americans when we don't have equal access to voting? I believe civil rights people questioned that 40 years ago.
Voting is not a fundamental right.
Okay.
So this is a weird aspect of the American Republic, and it's a very stark reminder that we're not a democracy. You don't have a right to vote. Now, once a state extends to you the right to a popular vote, they can't deprive you of that right relative to someone else within the state without cause. So you're a felon, something like that, some justified abridgment of your right. But they can't distinguish based on any other factor than that. But that's only once they extend it. So, however, this is the interesting part that complicates even that. The states will always have, the state legislatures have plenary authority. Plenary means ultimate, unquestionable authority to choose their electors. The manner of choosing electors is within the purview of the state legislature.
Right.
And there are actual Supreme Court cases on this where if, let's say, California votes overwhelmingly for Biden, but their legislature says, I don't like Biden, and they decide to send electors who will put in Kanye West.
Yeah.
California can ignore the popular vote in the state after it's made and calculated and choose electors to put Kanye, to give their 55 votes to Kanye. California can do that, and there is no one who can stop them. The Supreme Court of the United States won't. Their own state Supreme Court doesn't have authority to do it. Nothing about it. So that is how that difference is allowed to be made, because the states get to choose how they choose their electors. And so this is actually a big problem for the Trump team in Pennsylvania right now, because the Republican,
they could turn the election and they can still seat Biden.
Well, there's even not even that. The Republican legislature in Pennsylvania this year changed the law to no fault absentee and mail-in voting.
Right.
Where
they conceded though to, that was all the disenfranchised voter stuff that they went back to their courts in Pennsylvania and changed it right before the election, and the Republicans didn't fight it.
No, this is different than that.
Okay.
The Republicans passed this law, and what the law said was that the only absentee or mail-in vote challenge that you can do was to the application for the ballot. So you apply for your absentee ballot, and they say, wait a minute, Doug TenNapel doesn't live in Pennsylvania. He lives in Tennessee. I challenge this claim to an absentee ballot. So then they decide if you can get one or not, and it's ruled on, and then they say, no, you can't get one. Okay. If you applied for an absentee ballot and they gave it to you, and then you cast the vote, and that vote comes in, and they're at the counting table, and the guy says, wait a minute, Doug TenNapel doesn't live in Pennsylvania. The guy goes, whoop, and puts it in the ballot box anyway, because there is no legal challenge to a mail-in or absentee ballot in Pennsylvania. As of 2020, the Republicans changed it this year.
So they can't change it.
This is a big problem, because that count, the recount, and the audit of those ballots cannot be based on its absentee or mail-in status. They don't have the ability to question it anymore. They gave it up.
And if Trump doesn't take Pennsylvania, he can't win.
Right.
So you're saying high percentage Biden's going to get seated. Is that December?
Well,
December 12th?
Trump can still win if he doesn't take Pennsylvania, but he takes like Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, and Arizona or something like that. It's a crazy thing. It's a tough thing. That's not the only way they overturn votes in Pennsylvania, but that was the easy way that you overturn votes in Pennsylvania, is to go in, and then every absentee ballot from Wayne County, you have someone challenge it. You raise a challenge on a manual recount, say, nope, we challenge this. They got rid of that. Why would they do that? Someone asked in the audience, why in the F would they do that? No fault mail-in voting. They wanted to make it easier to count the votes. When they passed
cultural pressure.
They passed it back in March. So it was before the election stuff had super ramped up. But it's a mess. It's a big mess.
Be careful what you wish for.
Now it's a different thing to say what we were talking about earlier. 130,000 votes show up at 4 a.m. Okay. And here's a good question, right? Again, this is why I think they need to resolve the issue in the court of when a vote is turned in. Because if votes show up at the voting place at 4 a.m., that's after Election Day by a good amount. That's 4 hours after Election Day in the local time slot. So that shouldn't be a counted vote if the Supreme Court decides that a vote is cast when it's actually turned into the counting authority. And since the polls close at 8, there's literally zero reason why at 4 a.m., 8 hours later, you've got a truckload of votes showing up.
After they stopped the count.
Right. Those should be showing up.
And there's no oversight from the other party allowed or discouraged. Intimidation.
Right. It's a mess, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they bring. I really do hope the Republicans bring a challenge that is worthy of going into court, that has the potential to flip the election. Because I want to see. I don't even care if they win. I mean, I want them to, but I don't care if they do. I want the integrity of the election challenged so that it can be secured. Yeah. And right now we're all going off this illusion. Do you see the headline? This is the most secure election in history.
Yeah.
It literally can't be. It can't be possible for it to be the most secure in history, but it's a statement they can't possibly qualify. So I love that it's wrong on two fronts.
Well, the good news of all this, I think, is that people are going to not believe all of the gaslighting going around on the internet anymore.
Yeah.
Is they're going to get once bitten, twice shy from both sides, but especially from the left. Like how CNN, they're so discredited that now they're even bailing on Fox. So I'm just going, I hope it gets people to start thinking for themselves more and start questioning everything and saying, wow, things aren't as secure and factual and tight as I thought they were.
Here's my silver lining Trump loss. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Trump goes the route of Alexander Hamilton and creates a media empire that dominates Twitter and Facebook.
Well, I imagine he's going to do that anyways.
I said he should call it Trumpet. What do you think?
Sure. I'll buy that. I'd sign up.
Instead of tweets, you have toots or whatever.
Toots.
It's beautiful. I don't know if it has to be toots. That's what someone said. But no, I think it's great. It should be called Trumpet. So Trump can be all capitalized and it can be et, like lowercase.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh.
This goes all the way back to, Plato and Socrates. If you could own the government or the culture, you'd always choose the culture. And I'm saying if Trump loses the government, he still has a huge play in culture. Yeah. And he'll have far more influence on culture than we're so tied up with the law and the law being everything without realizing that the law can be moved by, in fact, unfortunately, it is moved by culture.
Oh, absolutely. So here's another hard reality for Trump. I was reading an analysis the other day of Bush versus Gore, and the Supreme Court shut down the recount after. They're like, okay, this is getting ridiculous, right? And they shut down the recount. Bush prevails.
Florida. Yep.
The interesting thought is that it's very possible the margin was so small and the recounting votes were going towards Gore. It's very possible that Gore won that election. Like, if you get down to an ideal, every vote counted, it's very possible that Al Gore should have been the president, not George Bush. But Bush had set up such a good PR game that he was going to be the president, that he was the rightful victor, and he was acting like president. And if you want to know why Biden is trying to act as the president-elect or whatever, and then try and take on official duties, like he's asking to be included in security briefings now, and all this stuff, that's why they want to get to an established place where it's uncomfortable for the public to consider the fact that everything was wrong. Because you're right. Law is malleable to culture. It absolutely is. I was arguing with a Republican lawmaker that I know just today about legalized marijuana.
Mm.
And my position is I'm 100% for legal marijuana. 100%. I think it's time to do it. I think the grounds
I'm so against it. I'm so against it.
You can be against it all you want, and it's okay to be wrong, Doug. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, no, I know it's going to happen. It's going to be legalized, but so's marrying a sheep, but it doesn't mean
those are different things.
Okay. No. They will both be legal is all I'm saying. They're similar in one way.
But anyway, so I'm arguing with him, and the problem is his counter arguments are they're nonsensical. If your counter argument is you don't like marijuana, you don't think it should be legal, that's fine. But if you're trying to make a logical argument against it and you don't have logical points, well then why are you arguing against it? Just say you don't like it and you don't want it legal. That's okay. But to me, it comes down to the questions of it's no worse for you than alcohol or cigarettes. Actually, there's plenty of suggestion that it's much less bad for you than either of those things. I would argue it's no worse for you than sugar. I don't even do it. So I
don't know of anything that's worse for you than sugar, but I would say there's plenty of science that shows it's worse than alcohol.
I don't think so.
Plenty.
Man, I really, really don't think that there's any credible scientific source.
It's out there. I'll look for what I can find and I'll show you.
Go ahead, and I'll send you all of my High Times articles.
Yeah,
why it's great.
And by the way, particularly in youth for brain development, particularly in underage use, brain development, and if you normalize it, you're going to get. Well, I think you're going to reap a whirlwind.
That's the alcohol argument too, though, right? Like, so we put an age restriction on alcohol for that very reason. I think the same thing goes for marijuana. Okay, make it 21 plus or 18 plus or whatever it is.
Alcohol doesn't do to the mind what marijuana does to the mind.
I don't know.
It is absolutely destructive. It will there's a reason why guys smoke pot, and after a while they start going, wow. It's not that the guys who already said, wow, like pot. It's they like pot and they start going, wow.
It's opening your mind. Like Kawano and Total Recall.
Yeah. Even when they're not high, I'm saying, and I've seen permanent damage in my friends. So I just think it's over the harmless nature.
No, I don't think it's harmless. I just don't think it's any greater harm than half the stuff we are just fine with.
But isn't that an argument against the stuff that we're just fine with if it's also damaging? That's the precedent that I want to know is.
No, because the liberty argument trumps all of it to me.
But I know, but this is where I'll go back to your statement is, I'll just say to you, you just like liberty because you feel like it.
No, it's
made of the same thing as what your friend is saying. I just don't like pot because I just don't feel like, I just don't like it. You should just admit that you just want liberty legal because you like it.
No, I think liberty is intrinsically valuable.
Well, maybe so is not impairing your own judgment with chemicals.
But shouldn't I have the freedom to choose that?
I think I think if the state, excuse me, if the state was more hands off about it, but when you start making a moral case for why it should be made legal, that's when I have a bigger problem with it. It's
I don't see it because I think reducing state influence over personal autonomy is good. I think that's a moral good in general.
Isn't the problem though that the law makes a positive case so that now it's not being neutral and hands-offish because it has to go in and relegate its making, relegate its distribution, it ends up becoming the United States of pot.
Only because the state wants to do that though. Cause like there's no regulation that is necessary for the liberty position on pot.
Well, I'm only saying I know what's going to happen, and it's not going to be merely the minimal case liberty position on pot.
That's what it
It's
should be, though.
probably, it will probably be distributed in public schools is what will end up happening. I'm
I
just
think
saying,
that's a bit much.
and you can keep laughing, Nick. Keep laughing, Nick. I'll see you in 5 years. I'll see you in 5 years.
We'll be force-fed government gummies.
Absolutely going, look, kid's got Ritalin. I'm sorry. It's too bad that your kid's here in school. You'll have to give him this if he's going to stay.
I'd rather my kid had weed than Ritalin.
I agree. Oh, I agree. But I'm only saying that's another example is Ritalin. These are used to be forbidden substances. What becomes tolerable becomes law. And then after a while, now it's required after a while.
I don't know if Ritalin was Ritalin ever actually a forbidden substance? I don't think so.
Yeah. When it started out, it was all, and it still has huge controversy about it. It's one of the most overprescribed drugs in the world.
I'm all for that. I agree. I used to
anything in social sciences.
I used to take Ritalin because narcolepsy, and thank God they finally took me off of it because I have my family has histories of heart issues, and Ritalin, I could feel my heart beating, like just sitting around and you have a thumping in your chest like a metal song is playing in the background.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. And then, just, and, when I was driving, my hands would clench I would drive to Texas. Right. And so I'd take Ritalin on the road, 'cause you're driving like 20 hours down to Texas. And when I got there, I would have pulled the muscles in my forearm, and it would take me a couple days to heal up, 'cause I would clench the wheel so hard, from it. I did not like it at all. They put me on Provigil, which was much, much better. It just also costs, 700 times as much. But
so what about mushrooms? Why make mushrooms illegal?
They shouldn't make mushrooms illegal.
So legalize mushrooms.
Mushrooms are legal in most places, I think.
What about all opiates?
I think
it's a plant. Just take opium.
I think a long-term plan for it is good. I really do. So here's the thing. I think the legalization of all drugs is a long-term plan that can work. I don't think you should have fentanyl and heroin legal tomorrow. Although Oregon just did. Props to Oregon for taking that bullet for everybody.
Yeah, look at Nick's. I just want to say that Nick wants America to be Oregon. When America is Portland, that's what Nick is saying the founders were for.
Look, if you gave all the Antifites a bunch of fentanyl, they all would have just died in the street instead of burning the city down.
I'm for the government force feeding them fentanyl. I'm for the force. I'm for that.
No, I know it's not legal. I'm making a joke. It's decriminalized. There's a difference. I actually did a very brilliant video that everybody hated on the difference between decriminalization and legalization. Oregon decriminalized street drugs for personal use. No, I do not like fentanyl and heroin. If opium were legal, I think fentanyl and heroin wouldn't be a thing that existed. Now they do exist, and we have to deal with the fallout of that. But I think there is a long-term plan for legalization of all of this stuff. I think it starts with pot as the least impactful and least harmful of any of these things.
Sure.
And then as people get accustomed to liberty, but this is why libertarians are a joke, right? Is because they say all this stuff and it's supposed to happen right away, and it can't. Society has to go. I go back to Adam Smith, wealth of nations, but also moral sentiment.
Sure.
And you have to have a moral people who are willing to, one, regulate themselves on the use of these things, and then two, pick up the pieces of the lives that are destroyed by liberty. Like that's part of it. And if we're not willing to do that as a society, if we're not willing to voluntarily do that, then the government will step in. I think that's where your argument is about marijuana, is that they're going to come in and regulate it. You're
not going to be paying for their prison anymore. You're going to pay for their spent lives of a bunch of drug addicts. Just, people, selfishly, if it wasn't a matter of morality, I'd be all for legalizing pot because, first of all, almost all of the pot is consumed by single people. So you turn a bunch of my competition in comics and art into burnouts, and I don't have to compete with them as hard because they'll never get off the couch. So the good news is it's going to mostly be single, unmarried people who do not reproduce getting just stoned out of their gourd and basically cut out of the economy. Now, the problem is,
let them. Yeah, let's do it. That's great.
yeah, it just cuts them out. So that's for me to worry about. The bad news is the government's got to pick up the pieces when we already have with hillbilly heroin, just a wreckage of wrecked lives because sometimes there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and some people can't mitigate it themselves. And a wise government would say, you know what? Why give people incredibly addictive substances that are made to blot out their life and self-medicate pain?
I'm for it. I'm for it because at the end of the day, I think what'll happen is you'll get a large uptick. You'll get an economic overconsumption at the beginning. And then over the course of 5 to 10 years, it'll hit equilibrium. And I do think people will regulate it out in the way that they do with alcohol and the way that they do with cigarettes. And we can have all of the personal social campaigns in the world for people who have problems with it. But and of course, there will be people destroyed by it. Of course, there will be people who overconsume it. I know them too. I grew up with an older sibling. I watched all of their friends become absolute useless piles of garbage. I know the dangers of it. And at the same time, I go, well, I don't need the government to save them. And I think they would have found it somewhere else anyway. Oh, and they did while it was illegal. Yeah. But
millions more of them, by the way. And the other thing I like is, as an American, I like the idea of using Colorado and Oregon as pilot programs for the rest of the states to learn from, because it really does become a state by state experiment. And you look at it over time and say, what is happening and what happened to the people? And then the other states should respond accordingly.
Well, see, now we're getting into the real distinction here. Because we have a federal system, marijuana should be federally legalized, which doesn't compel legalization in the states, to be clear.
Right. So Utah can still have their alcohol bans, even though alcohol is federally legal.
Right. Like, so a state can maintain its illegalization of marijuana, like Minnesota does, for example.
Sure.
It's decriminalized, but it's still illegal here. And so, but then we can measure ourselves against now South Dakota and Wisconsin, which both have, wait, I don't know if Wisconsin passed it. South Dakota has legalized weed. Illinois has legalized weed. Colorado. So now we can start to measure the differences and see what the citizenry wants. And I think that's the way to do it. I have a problem with the federal illegalization of it. And the other thing I have a problem with is, yes, I know they're not enforcing it, but there are real problems for quote unquote legal dispensaries because they can't use banks, for example. So here's a weird thing. In Minnesota, you can get a medical marijuana card, but you can't use a credit card to buy it.
Sure.
Because you have to go through a federal institution to make a purchase of a medical substance that is federally illegal. So that's dumb, right? So then you've got this dispensary. There's one in our town. It's always populated. It's hilarious. And the people going through there are paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Every car that drives up is dropping several $100s to buy their supply of medical marijuana. That building, that building is full of cash.
Yeah.
Just it's in every other context, we would say this is a dangerous amount of money, and they can't deposit it. They just have cash just sitting around because they can't do things with it federally without a whole bunch of hoops to go through. And that's a dumb system that we have. Yeah. If states want to make it legal, illegal, medicinal, whatever they want to do, they should do that. We should then have our cool marketplace of ideas that we're supposed to have and do it. I think it should be federally legalized for that reason alone. Can you join me on that piece, Doug? That
No,
the feds.
I want it illegal because I think the government has an obligation for the public good.
You
I
think the
believe in a
federal
public good.
government does, though?
I do. I believe the federal government has a obligation to do no harm. First, do no harm. So, in general, if they're going to say we need to pass another law, I'm going to say nope. In general, I'm going to say nope.
Okay.
Don't expand government with another law.
How do I cancel my
Yeah.
Jim? No, I'm just
Earthworm
kidding.
Jim, cancel. Oh, I'm losing backers. No.
No. I think it's an interesting discussion. I certainly see.
Well, the other thing I think, Nick, because it's trivial. There's a lot of hills I'll die on, and the drug thing. It really is like I care so little about drugs, and I care so little about people who would do that to themselves that I feel like they're almost self-disqualified. I'm not talking about cancer people that are taking medical marijuana to build up their appetite or whatever. I think for the most part, those people are all going to destroy themselves and go have fun in your little paradise you built. But now you're going to make me pay for their broken lives, their welfare, their entitlements. It's going to be cradle to grave, jack them up. This is Huxleyism. This is Orwellism.
Look, I don't think weed is the same as Soma. I just don't get there.
Well, but with weed's going to come Vicodin, oxycodone, mushrooms. It will be heroin. It will be just everything, ecstasy. It's like, it's just going to be like, just spread out, just going, you're going to drug a country. And I'm going in general, I think you're going to change the face of America if it expands. I just hope the normal people don't. The normal family people that run this place will stay off it. And everyone else is going to just crash. We're just going to lop off a chunk of our society to stay stoned on the couch. Tune out. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. So I'm only saying it will limit its damage if the people are allowed to just crash and burn on their own. They will.
Well, then let's do that.
It's going to happen. I'm saying I'm resigned to it happening. I'm not saying it won't happen. Of course it's going to happen. It's going to be national. It's going to be nationally legalized. All drugs everywhere. Have fun, single people.
You don't think married people do weed?
They do some weed, but it's nothing. It's a tiny percentage compared to single people. Tiny. Okay. Yeah.
I'd like to, I'm actually curious. See, that's the problem is because of the illegal nature of it, we don't have effective studies on stuff like this. So I would like to actually see data on it, on what the usage looks like without the taboo of it being illegal and people being afraid to answer those questions.
Sure. I'll try and find my medical stuff that I saw where they're just going like it's conclusive, like this stuff causes schizophrenia.
Oh, I think you'll find very interesting people behind the funding of those medical studies. But
well, yeah. But we also know with all the tax money and all the money that they basically created with this substance, the government, the state of Colorado loved it for the money. They don't care about people. F you. They don't care about people. They got the giant tax base. They got paid.
Well, but the other tax base is the fining system that they have for the criminal convictions.
Yeah, nothing compared to the taxing of the actual product. Nothing. Tiny by comparison. Tiny.
No, I agree. They got a nice budget boost, and all states should enjoy it.
Yeah. Have fun, everybody.
Okay, let's. Okay, I want to get back to. We got way off on a tangent there.
Yeah.
But I want to get back to elections because I had a moral question for you.
Sure.
At what point does it become immoral? This is a hard question. What point does it become immoral for a candidate to challenge the legitimacy of an election?
Well, in America, he can his whole life. Because you can create a lawsuit about anything you want. You can. Okay. He has a right to representation to whatever he's willing to pay for or whatever. So I think all the way to the end, Gore could have kept going. if it may be Trump alone. Everyone's against him. One man can go and challenge this. That's the right system, right? It ought to be.
Sure. Well, I didn't know because what I'm wondering is there, I've seen the arguments in articles coming out, all saying very similar things and all from a specific group of people. But there's an argument out there that there's a moral obligation for Trump to accept the results of the quote unquote results of the election, right? And for the good of the nation, for healing or whatever it is.
Yeah. Absolutely false. 100% false.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I'm not immoral.
Like, I never have to think that Biden won it fair and square. I do think, as an American, though, that when he's inaugurated, that I respect the office. I don't have to ever agree that he won it fair and square. But if President Biden walked in the room, I would tell my family, you stand.
Right.
That's out of respect of the office. So I'm saying, I'm waiting. I'm saying, let Trump have his legal questioning. And I mean, as hard as he can, including using culture if he wants to do the giant tweet storm of blurry videos. Everyone do that and make your claims, whatever. And I hope we go out and we shake out some information. And I'll be really happy if Biden still wins after the recount, or if Trump wins after the recount, or whatever, every legal avenue that he can. I encourage him to do it. And I admire anyone, be it Hillary or Gore, the other side. I'd be fine. I'm fine with it.
See, I agree. I agree with that fully. I keep seeing these articles pop up where Trump has some moral obligation to lose. And it's like, well, don't we have a moral responsibility to test the integrity to the maximum? I mean, that's how I see it, is like, okay, we have a moral responsibility to make sure that every vote cast is verified to the best of our ability. Now there's too many to hand do everything. You can't do 140 million of anything. I don't care how big your operation is. Doing 140 million of anything, and specifically counting and verifying, there's too many steps. So we take shortcuts where we can. We ignore work where it's not useful. California, a recount is basically pointless on the presidential election. Like, it's like, we want Almasega County or whatever, California, to recount. It's like, well, why? There's no point. But so you focus on, and that's the nature of our system, is we can focus on swing states, we can focus on swing precincts, we can focus on questionable precincts. But I think we have a duty to do the best we can to ensure that there isn't fraud to the extent possible there. I think that is the position.
There's no legal obligation for us to endorse lying. And if you see smoke somewhere and you go, we already know that fraud does happen. There's a reputation of fraud happening, but we don't know how deep it is until we look. It's going to help our democracy. It's going to help the truth win if we go look and reform this stuff for next time. So these guys, if they did bring in a bunch of votes in the middle of the night, maybe they won't do it again next time. I think this stuff is so systematic and widespread that they've been rewarded for doing this election after election, and they're getting good at it. If it's as deep as I think it is, I think it's systematic and widespread. However, if it is systematic and widespread, people leave evidence everywhere. I don't think you can hide that kind of fraud that's that broad. It will be exposed and it will be empirically proven. And if it's not, then Trump he doesn't need to say anything. He doesn't have to. Biden's going to be our president, and I'll be okay with that. I still think the guy's a clown.
Oh, he's an absolute joke. And he's a Weekend at Bernie's president.
He's a vegetable. He's our first VeggieTales president. He's a vegetable.
What VeggieTales character is Joe Biden? Not like which character. What vegetable is Joe Biden? Is he like a rhubarb? Is he?
Yeah, he's I don't know what, just whatever is rotting on the vine. He's just rotten. I mean, he's just like, there's nothing left of him. there ain't nothing rolling around. It's President Kamala Harris who's going to make Hillary Clinton look like a Margaret Thatcher. Like she's going to be, it's what I see coming down the pipe is just brutal and frustrating.
Yeah. I, excuse me. I agree.
But it's also cultural. Our culture shit the bed and made these candidates, they made Biden, they made people believe there's people I can't control what other people take into their heads. And they drank from CNN and from culture and from Hollywood and from academia for 4 years. And those impressionable people went for Biden, and probably some good Democrats went for Biden too. But my answer to that is not, therefore, let's run up a giant Twitter storm on Trump actually won it when I don't know that he won it. I'm rooting for him, but I don't know. And if he didn't win it, I hope Biden gets seated. That's my beef with the left, is I think even if they thought Biden didn't win it, they would want him seated.
Oh, of course. They chose not Trump to win. Yeah. I say 2014 as a joke, but I really think when he announced in 2015 that and then he starts to win primaries.
He didn't win it. He came in 4th place in the early primaries. Biden did.
No, I'm talking about Trump.
Oh, Trump.
I'm talking about Trump. So Trump back in 2016, he wins the primaries, and people go, "Oh, okay. Well, then it was not Trump." And then that has not changed in 4 years. That has persisted. It is escalated. It is amplified. And so, I agree. I don't think, I think if Biden would have gotten 2 million popular votes and Trump 147 million popular votes, that they would have still said that Biden should be the winner. That the press would be talking about what an unfair and ridiculously rigged system that we have, that Joe Biden wasn't able to win, because that's what they were gearing up for the entire time. And that to me is not, that's not a controversial statement. That's just in front of me.
Well, and at this point, our fight is to minimize damage. So if Biden's seated, my moral obligation is to minimize damage. So it's to hold dissent and to convince people and to try and pressure him not to do whatever. That's all you can do.
Yeah, it's a mess. Okay, so with that question, I have a follow-up question. That was, again, going back, since we're both smoking pot and now we don't remember.
That's right.
Going back to the morality of challenging the election is, how does this jive with the Christian approach? Well, a Christian approach to lawsuits and disputes, because there's some Christian sects who believe that that lawsuits are never the correct avenue, right? That the law is a flawed entity, and that Christians are supposed to be beyond it or something like that.
The scripture says that you're taking each other to court, and this should not happen.
Right.
That's all pretty local, small stuff within the up and coming church. I don't think it's a universal statement that Christians shouldn't take people to court.
And do you think that had to do? Because I think that it has a lot to do with Paul wanting the early church to avoid all public controversy as much as possible. That's why, because he talks about casting out people who, he says drunks and stuff like that. But when I talked to my buddy who's got a master's in theology, and he said that's a little bit of a simplification. What he's saying is people whose names are associated with drunkenness, right? So people whose public reputation is tied up with immoral activity, they were supposed to cast out. And I think that's less about the morality of the act and the ideas of forgiveness, and more about the fact that Paul's like, no, there's a movement to discredit the church at its starting, and we can't let the fledgling church go away. So the church itself needs to move away and distance itself from these people, even while loving the community. Is
Sure.
that
The problem is he doesn't clarify, so it's open for interpretation. That's the problem with a whole lot of Paul's writing, is they can go almost any way with interpretation. So
right?
I try not to step in where he didn't, because I figure if he wanted to clarify it that way for us to read, he would have. So instead, you just go, wow, it's something to think about. I'll go into Romans, which is to pay your taxes and obey your leaders because God appointed them. That's another big verse.
Right. Yeah.
And do not resist them, or you are resisting God who put them in place. And instead, let them see your good deeds so that they will praise your God when they meet him. That's something that I always applied to countrywide. Countrywide, it means respect your ruler. And I just got corrected on that that's not where Romans is. Romans is documenting the Jews getting mixed with the Gentile Christians. So Jews they're Christians, but they're new Christians, and they're reading the scriptures at the temple, and the Christians are coming to the temple. The new Gentiles are coming to the temple, and we receive we pay our taxes to the temple, is how they did it. So they're saying in a very local area, respect your rulers, that is the Jews, because God appointed them as the rulers of your community.
Sure.
And by resisting them, you're resisting the God who put the Jews in Jerusalem. So that scripture just within Romans makes more sense, but it also relieves you from applying it to the Caesars who were corrupt or to a president who's corrupt. So I'm only saying we have to be very careful when we read the scriptures about governments and politics, because it is not a politicky thing. It's talking about church unity.
And we have to take it in, we have to strongly consider the time it's said and the location it's said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't,
the context.
You can't divorce Paul's writings in Romans from the fact that the church is a minority, disenfranchised group living under Roman rule.
That's right.
You can't do that. Now we have the church. Well, we had, I will say, for a long time in the U.S., the church is a predominant organization, not under Roman rule. But we're kind of getting back now to where the church is becoming a second-class institution in regards to maybe it's society greater, or maybe it's just simply governmental society. But yeah, we're kind of getting towards that. We're not there though. We're not even close to there yet. We're not meeting.
But we are a post-Christian country. Culturally, yes. We're post-Christian. And I think it's a good time for a purification of the church, where it will become, the real Christians will stick, and the ones that were just there to go along culturally, that you're not going to gain anything culturally anymore from the church. So you're not even going to mess with it. You're going to go in if you're saved, and you're going to leave if you're not.
Yeah.
But I also think it should remain, because God doesn't want your government. He wants your heart. That's why Jesus says, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, render to the Lord's what is the Lord's. What does the Lord want? He wants you, your whole damn life. and
he's greedy Caesar like that.
Yeah, he is. He's a tyrant, and he's jealous. And Caesar just wants you to pay your taxes. So I think the idea of the separation of church and state is a brilliant idea. And that philosophically, they're two completely different things. And our problem is we keep wanting to unite them, where we're trying to make the government a Christian institution, or we're trying to buckle the Christianity under the government. And those don't belong.
Yeah. I agree. It doesn't. Okay. I'm way behind on super chats.
Go.
So let's do those. We've got, okay, Liam Gray. I don't know if it's actually Liam Gray.
There's a lot of fake Liams out there.
It could be. He says, I am Liam Gray, the savior of comics. And please check out my past live streams on BitChute. Just search my name on BitChute and you'll find all of them. I guarantee you'll have a great time, that you might get a brain tear. So there you go. Again, I don't know. I don't know if that's the real Liam Gray or not, but apparently you can find him on BitChute. Books, Games, Pottery says, my husband and I gave to Doug's Kickstarter. Will we get the same as the supporters of the Indiegogo? Yes, other than the black and white leather book, which you have to buy separately.
Purchase separately.
But that's a specific perk on Indiegogo as well. Like the standard perk, I'll pull it up on screen for the Kickstarter or for the Indiegogo here, is Fight the Fish book, $25 right here. $35 for the signed one. If you want to get the Earthworm Jim black and white leather edition, with the book, it kicks it up the respective price of the black and white leather book. That's the $150.
Yeah.
So that's the only different thing.
But all of the stretch goals are shared. Anything raised on Kickstarter goes to Indiegogo. Anything the Indiegogo guys accomplished, meaning there's a sticker, there's a print, it goes to everybody on the Kickstarter also. So if you've already got back the Kickstarter book, you're set, unless you want the leather edition. Other than that, everything goes to both. Yes.
So there you go. I hope that answers your question, Books, and I will follow up. In case you're not around, I'll follow up with a DM to you and let you know.
And by the way, thanks everyone. We're up to 195,000. That's a huge dream come true.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And if you haven't bought yours, get it while it's hot. Yup says, hey Nick, I never thought I would be this guy, but I'm asking you to signal boost this GoFundMe link. I've known this man online for over a decade, and it hurts to say that he is no longer with us. It's GoFundMe.com/F/family in need due to passing of father. There's hyphens between each word there. Can you also please pray for the family? I will. If you
that's terrible loss.
Yes. Fathers are in short enough supply. So sorry to hear that. Prayers are with the family. If people want to check that out, that's again GoFundMe.com/F/family in need due to passing of father. So there's that. Biden the Cold One says, hello, my friends. That is all. Really? Fine. Sing the ABCs as Kermit, please. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm not going to do any more.
That was terrible.
I don't know how to sing ABCs as Kermit. That's a weird one. I can talk as Kermit just fine, but singing the ABCs is...
Piggy.
Yeah, what's your Kermit? Say something dirty as Kermit. Say something unchristian to Miss Piggy. Well, hello there, Miss Piggy. I would like to squeeze that little curled tail you have between my green thighs.
Between my green thighs. I can't even do it. I sound like a stoner. I'm like an idiot. Hey.
You want me to share the link? Why don't Angry Baneling? Why don't you share the link? It's not like it's not that simple. Here, I'll put it in the chat.
Go mods. That's what the wrench is for.
Let's see.
Yeah, for those of you who backed Earthworm Jim 1, you guys already know what I send you. It comes in a big, beautiful, decorative box that I hand designed for the campaign. You open up a little bag of goodies. It'll be stuffed with patches, free comic, poster, or print. It's going to be loaded. So we blow a lot of dough on our backers.
There we go. I think I don't know if that actually worked. Anyway. Yeah. Baneling, there. You do it. Thank you.
There, you do it.
Okay. Oh, hi, it's Will. Says, good evening, gentlemen. If you thought the Trump presidency was entertaining, give it a few months and the commies will be crawling out of the woodwork demanding their share of the spoils. The Democrat infighting is going to be fun. I don't know if it's fun because I know who they're going to try and take the spoils from, and it's me. Yeah. They're going to extract it from my bones.
Biden's going to fight his left way worse than he's going to fight his right. They're going to come out bad and hard.
Eagle Loan, the Kickstarter is over. The Kickstarter happened before the Indiegogo, and that is passed. And all the benefits that were earned by the Kickstarter transferred over to the Indiegogo. So, yeah. Kiwi Goes Live says, "Hey, Nick and Doug, would either of you be interested in some banana or vanilla moon pies? I was craving them and had to order a case of each, so I have plenty. I'll send them to Nick's P.O. box if you say yes." Look, I'm not going to turn around moon pies because I have children. They will eat them. So if you're looking to offload them, they will be accepted happily and consumed readily.
Wonderful.
But don't go out of your way for me. E1337 Neo says, "Hey, Nick and Doug, have you guys seen Trump's executive order on imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in the United States election? Looks like our president had a contingency plan in place after all." No, I have not seen it. I'll look into it. I guess that's what we're talking about with Dominion software, and the potential foreign interference there. Again, I want to see more than tweets on Dominion software before I can evaluate it. I need to see what it is. So, Ether Dad says, "Las Vegas counters betting fraud at tables. Why can't we counter ballot fraud at the counting tables?" It's because you don't know who turned in the ballot. I mean, you just don't. It's the system.
And you have to accuse them of a crime to double check it. You have to accuse them,
Yeah. And the burdens of proof are high. Bad Vibe says, "How many people have been killed or lives destroyed enforcing regulations?" Lots.
Yeah.
Lots. He also says meth is lower on the classification than marijuana. That's I thought meth was also a Class A substance along with marijuana, but maybe it's not. Bad Vibe says, "Doug, decriminalization of drugs keeps kids out of bad foster system. You have bad people who aren't using drugs. Enforce the actual crimes, not self-harm." Bubble Lord says, "Doug, I'm giving money to make it known. I know you're part of Big Paper. You can't be pro-alcohol and anti-weed. Factually, the prior is far worse." So there you go. Bad Vibe says, "Doug, it's not the drug, it's the welfare system. Remove the safety net and let charity of individuals deal with it." I think you're saying, though, that we won't remove the welfare system is the problem.
Oh,
right?
No.
Yeah. And of course not.
I'll also can I make one quick distinction too?
You can make slow distinctions if you want.
Okay. I'll make a quick one though, but this is between the comments on alcohol versus pot. And this may sound arbitrary. This is something that always struck me though, is alcohol, whiskey, beer, wine is an art form. It's a culinary art form. It's not just a drug.
Weed is an art form if you let it be.
We haven't seen it yet though, because people don't craft weed saying, look at the wrap of this joint, look at the binding, look at the beauty of the thing. It is a drug. It's just a drug.
Oh no, I disagree. Like with especially with vaping and they have crafted flavors. The problem with it being illegal is they haven't had the ability to waste money on marketing.
Yeah. But is there a culture of pot that goes back 2,000 years the way it does with, say, alcohol or tobacco? Like when you get a cigar, you know what I mean? You're not getting it to blow your mind. You get pot. Pot is judged by how well it blows your head out.
I don't think so.
Really? Would you smoke pot? Do people smoke pot saying, I really don't want it to do anything. I just want to.
No, I think there are different uses for it for sure. For example, like the medicinal marijuana. I'm cutting
medicine out because medicine is whatever, you know what I mean?
But no, the reason I'm pointing this out though, is because it's, the stuff that they use for the medicinal marijuana is engineered to address issues like nausea, for example. So there are people who would happily use marijuana to control nausea without the getting high feeling. I mean, if you want to know why I don't partake in marijuana, because the couple times that I've done it in the past, I don't really like the high feeling. It puts me out of my headspace in a way that I don't like. Alcohol is it's a different type of feeling, and
Yeah.
I like that one a little more. So that's why I'll drink way more often than I'd ever smoke because of that. It also makes me really tired, which I'm tired enough.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm just trying to demarcate that alcohol is not a drug the way that pot is a drug.
I think pot is a drug in the way that alcohol was a drug during Prohibition. Because during Prohibition, it was whatever bathtub whiskey you could make. They really weren't looking for 20-year single malts in 1922.
No.
They were just taking whatever moonshine they could get, watering it down to what a reasonable percentage of alcohol that they could turn a profit and selling it. I mean, that's what marijuana's been.
But no one ever has alcohol prescribed as a drug or tobacco prescribed. It's not that kind of it doesn't do that kind of work on your mind. And it's because it's actually an artful thing that we craft and consume.
But I think marijuana in an open market would be.
Well, it's not. I'm only saying it's not yet. And I really doubt it because I think people want to get stoned. That's why I think people take pot. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never done. I don't know.
I think you are, and I think if you, and this is probably just kind of a lack of exposure to what they're doing with it now. If you go into like one of the legal dispensaries in Colorado or in Illinois or whatever, you're going to see actually that craft coming out because they have. Like I said, especially with the vapor section, and they're trying to make this illegal too, but there's a craft to vaping in general, and that transfers over to the marijuana side where they're trying to craft specific flavors. But going beyond that, the edible versions of marijuana, like putting them into things like gummy bears and stuff like that, that's a different sort of avenue, and they're looking for ways to express it, but for the past 100 years, they haven't been able to because of the Controlled Substances Act. And so I don't know. I don't know the prehistory of marijuana, so I can't say it goes back as far as tobacco and alcohol. But I can say that alcohol is a very Western sort of thing in general. So we have a storied history of it because it's been a protected, and not protected, but a preserved history in a way that we understand.
Sure. Maybe someone in the audience can tell me though, would you ever season a food with marijuana that does not get you high? Like just for the taste, like, is it like a truffle or is it like a fennel? Is it like a herb where you love the taste of it and you'd put it in your food? Like, does it have a culinary side or is it just, I'm going to eat the gummy bear because it gets me blotto?
And I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that as far as the green goes, when you go into not the gringos, but as far as the green marijuana,
gringo, we don't need those badges.
Like that's actually an interesting sort of avenue. I was reading an article the other day about this. In a study, they found that the amount of THC is not related in the way they thought to how high people got. So there are, like, if you go into a dispensary, again, you can buy like the high concentration THC, the well-engineered stuff or whatever. And they found that doesn't get people any more high than the other stuff. So as they explore that, then you certainly have, it's like, okay, well, if high THC versus low THC is going to produce the same mental result, and there's some other factors there, maybe it is a combination of the taste experience or the palate experience of it. And again, that's something that can be explored. It just hasn't yet.
I'm for it as medical. I never had a question about it for medical reasons. Medical for like cancer people who lost their appetite. You take some pot, you get the munchies, and you get your appetite back. I'm all for that. I totally question and call out most people who wanted to legalize pot. The reason is to get stoned. They're stoners. They want to be on drugs. It's a drug. It's not, there's nothing artful about it. It's not analogous to alcohol. It's not analogous to what we do with tobacco, with beautiful aromas and things like that. It's about give me a stinky bull. I want to get, the more I can disengage, it's more valuable to me. That's my opinion on the subject.
I'm not going to agree, but I respect your opinion. I think there's
someday when we discover unicorns, I'm sure it will be artfully crafted one day. But right now, I just want you to know that the gateway that got the camel in the nose in the tent is to get people stoned.
Once you go, what's this peated oily bourbon, and you realize that it was THC oil in the bourbon, and your mind is blown, then you'll be a believer.
If they could make an artful case for it, I'd probably be more sympathetic to it.
They absolutely can make an artful case. That's what I'm telling you, is that they're already starting it, and give them time and they will. So that's now my quest. My quest is to find the weed that Doug will consume because it's so pretty.
It has to be, there's all these standards, right? It's maybe good to the sight, or aromatic, or taste reasons, or things like that. The reason why people, that's just, I don't, I'm ignorant though. So I'm open to it. I don't think there's a big charge to say, let's, work up this microbrewery craft because the taste is blah, blah. It's just because you drink a beer, even if you don't get blotto by it, you go like, it's just a tiny percentage, but it's a great beer. But no one goes.
I've never encountered a great beer in my life. I've never.
Okay. Well, you're a whiskey guy. I drink just tons of dark beers and little craft beers and stuff. I think they're wonderful. And
but see, I have to counter this because there's all sorts of movie evidence that's been going on forever. Like, that's the joke of the stoner in the movie, is that not only are they a stoner, but they are the artisan. They're crafting the hilarious weed. So my exposure to weed has been entirely my friends. And I mean, I'm driving in my car and they're lighting up. So I'm saying I've had pot around me my whole life. I'm just saying, I never saw this evidence of all this, Looks like you're hanging out with the wrong stoners, Doug. I'm just kidding. Super Iron Bob. Didn't you see Cheech and Chong? They had a whole van made out of it. It was great. They drove.
That's what I mean. But it was always my Cheech and Chong friends like, whoa, dude. I go like, I don't think marijuana should be illegal. And like 10 years ago, it was like, why are you against cancer patients getting medical marijuana? I'm like, I know why you want it legalized. You're lying to me, you stoner.
Super Iron Bob says, how is the public's casual contempt of the law a good thing? That they have a usual situation where they view the police as their enemy. This is a fight that has been lost. I don't know how is the public's casual contempt of the law a good thing? If we're all equally contemptuous of the law, we might change it and make it good.
And always suspect concentrations of power.
Yes.
So, and the law, the guy has a gun, he comes up to your car. It's okay to be suspect.
The other thing is, let's see, they have a usual situation where they view the police as their enemy. I mean, the problem is that in some cases, the police can be people's enemy. I don't know if America is there. There are certainly certain parts of America that are there.
Yeah, and I respect the badge and I respect the law.
Right, and I think you should view the police as suspect because you respect them, and you respect their ability to do their job, which should terrify you, but that's because the law can be broken. He says this is a fight that has been lost. Yeah, maybe it may be lost. Kosk says busy tonight, so can't watch, but here have some money. Hey, thank you. Bad Vibe says, let me suggest if these voting issues are not fixed, both sides will just create their own winners and the people won't get a true say, which may as well just have the state legislation decide, not the people. Well, that's how we did it to start. The state legislators decided. And that's what's still in the Constitution. But maybe we'll be like France and Rome, right? We'll have two popes. That'll be good. Bad Vibes.
Each party picks a winner.
Bad Vibe says, Joe Biden can rule California and Trump can rule the rest of it.
There you go.
Bad Vibe says, doctors are legally able to dispense alcohol by law. Okay. I don't know, but I believe you. Moist John says, Doug, in the past 10 years, weed strain development has ramped up in a way that there is more different flavor and smells to marijuana. It is rapidly getting the same marketing. Keep in mind, hashish had a culture for centuries.
True.
Ike 13D says, Doug, bro, the doctors literally suggest alcohol for circulatory health. You won't see the art of weed until it's legal and people can explore that aspect. My father is an alcoholic. Alcohol is not less damaging. Bad Vibe says, Doug, read High Life, talk to Willie, look up Purple Kush. Yes. Talk to Willie Nelson, that is, the foremost
Uncle Willie,
authority.
the tax evader. I'm just skipping pot and going straight to my artful heroin.
Now that's you gotta chase the dragon. That's all I'm saying. Crusader Saracen says, to all state government governors and bootlickers who would arrest people for spending Thanksgiving with their families, may Allah inflict upon you every type of cancer. And he also says, to Nick Rekieta and Doug TenNapel, may Allah shower blessings and good fortunes upon you. Hey, thank you.
Yeah, I like that law.
Allah. That Allah. Malik Foxon says, what happened to my super lawyer badge rackets? Did something happen to your channel? No, I don't know. Did something happen to your membership? I don't know. I don't even know how to change it. So everything should be there. Xander's Rant says, Kevin Smith stopped making movies where he's smoking the W, and Digibros stopped making content. People then started smoking the W, and we know what happened after. I stopped taking weaker pill than Ritalin, and doctor saw my heart test. He said I could have been dead with Ritalin.
Wow.
There you go. Night of Hopex says, this case for legalizing most things is that black markets and incarceration ruin more innocent lives than legal consumption would. This is true for alcohol from the history and data. No rational case is made why it can't be true for other things. Siren Jag says, dude, the fact that we don't know how many thousands or millions of people would die if all narcotics were legalized does not mean that we should legalize them and find out. Plus, they tried that in the early 20th century with heroin and cough syrup. He says, you don't see any heroin cough syrup, right? Well, a century ago, the company and the government realized they made a nation of heroin addicts. So the company adulterated the cough syrup with Emedix to break everyone from it, then discontinued it. But now they're just doing it with fentanyl. It's great.
Sure.
And Oxy.
Is there amount of fallout of deaths from, say, heroin or from one of these harder drugs where you would say, okay, my principle of the law is, in general, the government should stay out and not be incarcerating people. But now this is just so disastrous, we have to make it illegal.
Yeah, right now, heroin, fentanyl, and Oxy are so destructive and so consumed in a way that I don't disagree with them being illegal in practice right now. Like I said, my view of legalization of those substances is one that is way down the line as people are off of it. But I also think that opiate usage would be reduced by legalized marijuana because people do take it as a pain limiter, and if they could do that legally or even over the counter like Tylenol, they might not turn to something like Oxy. So
it's great for a motivation limiter too. If you have a friend who's just an A-type personality, just a real go-getter, you got to get him on the pot.
Exactly. Night of Hopex says, Paul was also encoding what legitimate government is. He said a magistrate is someone who rewards good and punishes evil. When the government rewards evil and punishes good, it's illegitimate. That's why the church fathers abandoned Rome and went to Armenia.
Well said.
Omega says, have you ever heard of Very Old Barton? It is the best super cheap bourbon I've ever had. I'll send you a bit if you don't have it around you. Got me through college. I've never heard of Very Old Barton. Have you?
It sounds familiar. Like maybe this week someone might have brought it up on my show. Or I might have seen a tweet. I saw a tweet of it.
Okay. I have no idea.
This week. Might have been that guy.
Let's see. Ampathos guy says, Doug, unicorns do exist and are even documented. They just aren't horses. The great Asian rhino is called Rhinoceros unicornus.
That's a Mike Miller says that.
Oh, does he?
Automatic false.
Mike Miller was in here earlier. We're almost to his chat. Monica's personal effing fiance says, played the long game, buddy, and my PS5 is secured. Any advice for breaking off my engagement with Monica? Yeah, run. She can't keep up. Vienticus Prime says, did you look up B23-0171 from DC? No, I haven't looked it up yet because today I spent mostly with my wife and kids. Spark7907 says, hey, Doug, I'm trying to get better as an artist, and I feel like I never get much better. What would you recommend for things to do to get better?
I would copy anyone you admire, and I mean direct copy, like put the piece of art in front of you and try and replicate it in your sketchbook, and I think you'll only get better. So you'll have fun because you admire the guy, and then just try putting it down on your own. Let's start there. Blacklist
Universe says, Nick, make a comic book of your own. To be determined. Duncan McBride says, thanks for extending the deadline, Doug. I got Bigfoot Bill 1 and 2 and the fancy binding. Getting Earthworm Jim in that level of detail would be great. Just need another week or so to afford it. Keep up the great work.
Cool. I got you 2 more paydays. So, or at least 1 more payday.
Andrew War Snowboard says, Bacardi is the best rum. Angry Baneling says so. Gross. Arrogant leftist socialist Australian says, hey, I'm from Melbourne, Australia, which was affected by the 111-day lockdown. The premier violated human rights, encouraged snitching. People defended him and love him with dissenters silenced. Yeah. We're going through a scary cultural shift in the West right now where we are turning on our neighbors and we are turning on our family, and we're encouraged to do so, and people are doing it with aplomb. So I'm not happy about it. Yazoo Agogo says, since October 1st, coronavirus cases have increased 33%. Coronavirus testing has increased 35%. This is a shock. It's a shock how it happens. Masako Y says, when you talked about the Affordable Care Act a while ago, you explained why the state can't force you to buy a product. Does vehicle insurance fall into a gray area, or is it the one product we can be required to buy? Look, I disagree with requiring vehicle insurance, but I will say that you don't have a constitutional right to drive. It's annoying.
That's right.
But your use of the roads is considered a privilege which you pay for partly through your registration of a vehicle. You don't have to participate in it in theory. And so that's how they justify the vehicle insurance, is that you are agreeing to use that as part of your privilege. So check your privilege.
I agree.
Jason of the Great Awakening says, Lex Luthor's plan from the first Superman movie not looking quite so diabolically evil anymore. I don't remember his plan from the first Superman movie.
That was, what's his face from French Connection? Who's the guy with the mustache? Lex Luthor?
Yeah,
Mr. Luthor?
Yeah, I don't remember the plan, though.
Yeah, I don't either.
Creeper Weirdo says, Doug, really love Bigfoot Bill 1 and 2. Convinced me to support Earthworm Jim 1 and 2. Also, Frank Miller's Big Damn Sin City is $100 on Amazon. So there you go.
I love Frank Miller, Sin City. I don't like doing the hard sale, but I'll tell you, this is a great book. If you like Bigfoot Bill 1 and 2, then I'm the same guy that made it. I put the same kind of craft and care in it. And just because we raise a little more money on Earthworm Jim means I can afford to give you guys a little more stuff. So it's high quality, good stuff.
It was Gene Hackman, and he was sinking.
Gene Hackman, there you go. Dang.
He was sinking the western half of California. That was the plan.
Oh, wow. I missed that part. I just remember Mrs. Hepzibah, or whatever her name is, this beautiful lady that was in that movie. It was awesome.
Did you watch the Sin City movie?
Yeah.
What did you like it?
I did. It's awkward, but you know, Rodriguez just took that graphic novel, that comic book, and just went frame for frame into a movie, and I kind of respected it for what it was. I love film noir. I love black and white. I love film noir.
I hated the Clive Owen segment because I hated Clive Owen.
Yeah.
Have you ever found Clive Owen to be good in any movie?
No. I'm with you on the I don't get it.
Because one of my favorite movies is a Clive Owen movie, but Children of Men.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I hate him, and I don't even think he's just there in it. Like, he doesn't bring anything to it. But you know, I like that movie for the one scene.
And what's that?
It's a magnificent scene. And it's my Lifehouse theory of watching movies, the hanging by a moment theory. That's a deep Christian joke. It's the scene where they're in like the building and the government is chasing them down, right? And there's all the shooting and everything, and she has the baby.
Yeah.
And the baby cries and everybody stops. Like the war stops. And there's this she's walking through and she walks down the stairs and it's just reverence from every single person.
Sure. Until
they're clear. And then it all starts back up. It was a killer scene. It's such a statement that is made in that movie that I don't think people caught, which I
didn't catch that when I watched it, but that's good.
Go watch that.
I do remember that haunting moment of the birth though, and everyone goes silent and stops. And Michael Caine's in there.
Michael Caine.
Yeah. The babies.
Best Michael Caine movie, Victory. Fight me on it.
Sure.
Where he's the English soccer player and Stallone is the goalie and Pele is the they're all POWs and they have to fight the Germans.
I think it's a Muppet Christmas Carol. Is my favorite of his.
Come on. Mugen1 says, I need some Wawa. Okay. A Madness Production says, shout out to @drunk3po. Wasatch Man says, Trump and his team are claiming a landslide win for them. Makes me think they are working on something and trying to keep hype up so the mainstream doesn't steamroll entirely. Practical explanation. Yeah, maybe. I think it's hard to sell a landslide. Even if he did win, I think it's hard to sell a landslide. Horatius763 says, Donald Trump can decertify electoral delegate accounts. I don't think he can.
I doubt that's a state issue, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think the president has the authority to do that. Horatius763 says, difference between legal and regulated under law. There is a difference, yes. Super Iron Bob says, if for no other reason on Mary Jane, marijuana, casual contempt of law by the public is not a state society can tolerate for long periods. The war has been lost here. Oh, that's what he was saying. What he was saying is that in regards to marijuana, it's just a foregone conclusion, just time. Time. Dovin, because people don't respect it. Dovin Death says, I think once Biden is in, they will make up charges to put him and his family in prison regards to Trump, I believe. Very possible. Horatius763 says, you can't legalize drugs till welfare state is gone. Yeah, I agree on that. Same with immigration. I'm for a much more open immigration system, but you got to get rid of the welfare system going to the immigrants coming in who aren't citizens. That's my opinion. Cannibal Smolikoff says, I've heard a lot about Trump killing the Patriot Act. What is the actual effect of this? Very little, because all of the institutions are still using the same standards and doing the same things. But it could change things over time. But for now, very little. Nothing Raven says, awesome. A weekend show. Great to catch you live. Hey, thank you. Bubble Lord says, alcohol is somehow okay, but pot isn't. You clearly haven't seen a destructive alcoholic. I know far more men destroyed by a bottle than joints. Mike Mysterio says, good evening, gents. If I could ask for some prayers for my friend Tara. Her 16-month-old niece passed away yesterday. Oh, man. Of course, Mike. We'll happily do that. Bubble Lord says, emptying the wallet right now. Botanists and scientists are made from hemp farming. Hemp is an ancient crop of humanity. It is just like alcohol. He also says people definitely use weed in cooking, not just to get high. It's popular for getting people high, but can be a spice or flavoring with bioengineering. Devin Zachary says, weed can be artisanal. Type and quality of cure, glassware, strain balance, much like developing a taste in whiskey. Lots to explore. Doug's wrong. Horatius
Stinky buds.
No,
Stinky
you don't.
bud.
We want to breed out the stink.
Okay.
So that your neighbors or whatever don't stink up the apartment complex. Horatius763 says the argument at the base level is, does the individual matter more than the society than that individual that society lives in? No man is an island. No man's an island, but we kind of are. Like that's the society we have, for better or worse. And that's the thing that I have with the lockdown and why I think that the lockdowns are questionable morality. The argument is that, well, we have to prevent people from dying. And my question is, well, why do we have to prevent people from dying, though? At the expense of other people.
Of other people dying is my bigger problem, is which is the least amount of death within the law.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's a cold economic argument to be made that a 75-year-old dying, for example, from COVID is less tragic than a 35-year-old business owner's business being destroyed and them being destitute. Like it's going to come down to circumstances, but COVID disproportionately affects the elderly. And there's certainly an economic, non-human argument to be made about it. And if we pick the moral outcome that is more preferable, then we are choosing morality for everybody. And we kind of have a society built on not doing that. Because if we could, things would be very interesting.
And you have a crashing in cancer screenings. You have a crashing in charitable givings with the crushing of the economy to third world countries, where you have hundreds of thousands of people dying of starvation.
Yeah. It's
brown people, the good ones.
And the final bit I'll say on it is that we don't know that the measures that they're using are the right ones or are even effective.
That's right.
We don't have data on it. And as much as they say the experts agree, the experts can agree, but they don't have the data because they don't have data in the alternative. So that's the problem that I have with all this. Angry Baneling says in Kermit voice, "Hey, Google moderation team, we already have great mods here. We don't need you heathens moderating. Be gone, scallywags." Okay. Oh yeah, my chat is getting moderated by Google, not by my mods, which is great. Phoenix Lord Asterman says, "Thanks for coming on the show, Doug. You always get people in chat so worked up that it's actually entertaining to read. You've got an interesting group of losers as detractors."
I like everybody. I like it if they're interacting and they're involved. But yeah, I get my share of hatred on the Nick show, but I also get my share of love. I've had people come on my show or in the chat who say, "I found you through Nick," and I mean that's almost like my number one reference of people on my show or in my chat is they come from you.
My problem is I can't separate easily the hate from the disagreement, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's like, okay, because I just don't know if someone's disagreeing with you because they disagree with your point, or if there's someone who's just mad about something. It's like, damn it. But anyway, I always like having you on the show, so you get to be on the show. Cause
I like hanging with you, because if I don't see you on the show, I'm not going to see you in real life. So we'll hang here.
I know, especially with these commies keeping us separated. Malik Foxon says, "Yeah, my payment method got jacked up. Someone in Vegas bought Uber Eats on my card. Had to report the fraud today. Fun stuff. Still changing shit around. Got my badge back now." Oh, well, thank you. Welcome back, Malik Foxon. Sorry that happened to you. Bad Vibe says, "This is the needs of the many outweigh the one. All of society needs individual autonomy to choose. This is where infinite diversity and infinite combination shows individualism ensures justice." Okay, so that is that's the chats. That's the chats. And let's do one final plug for the book in case people are here. This is why I wanted to bring you on. I knew it was coming to a close, and it's been extended, which is great. Because this is I know that you're going to put together a good book. All your other books are cool and awesome, and I have them, and I know this one will be well crafted. And this is what I'm focusing on, which is this leather bound book that Doug will be doing. It's the black and white Earthworm Jim book. But certainly go out, get your Fight the Fish book. This is the standard one. Get it signed. These are, as you say, instant collector's issues.
If you want the minimal in and you want to get caught up, there's a tier there where you can get Earthworm Jim 1 and Earthworm Jim 2.
Yep. And that
gets you caught up with the Earthworm Jim gang. But if you want to get into Bigfoot Bill 1 and 2, I have tiers to get caught up on my whole library. And of course, that leather-bound edition is going to be signed, numbered. It has an Earthworm Jim head sketch in it already that I will hand draw in it. Those are like handcrafted, an amazing work of art. If you're a book snob like me and you want to have fun with it, then that's a good one. But minimum, Earthworm Jim 1 and 2, you got to get into the epic. It's a fun story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, my friend, I think we should end the show. What do you think?
I got to hit the bed.
Yeah, no kidding. This is late for you. Thank you for coming on and indulging me. Here is the Siren Jag's already sharing it, so thanks.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Thank you. And yeah, and throwing even if you can't afford it, throwing the link around really helps me. You guys are my marketing department. I just can't thank Nick enough for giving me the exposure and all of the chat for coming into. I'm here to serve, and that's what I do. Is I work at my table all day, but you guys give my art career wings and give my expression a place to go.
Yeah, well, keep making books, slave.
That's what I do, man. It's a great. This prison sentence is awesome. It's just awesome.
Listen.
Oh, and Earthworm Jim 2 has the back cover is done by Mike Mignola. Did a drawing of Earthworm Jim that we're putting on the back, colored by Dave Stewart, who did all of the Hellboy comics. So I'm just saying, cool. It's going to be it's a beautiful book. Very
cool. All right, you hang out for just a second so I can say goodbye to you in private. Thanks, guys. I will be over on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Recato Law. We're going to watch a movie and then a bad movie. And maybe we'll get another one where the bad movie is better than the good movie. So we'll see.
What any titles that you're floating around? Do you give
the bad movie we're going to watch tonight is Hollywood Boulevard from 1976. Yep. You probably have seen it.
Yep.
Last night we watched Black Shampoo, also from 1976.
Terrible. Yep.
Confirmed. I disagree with you. It was phenomenal. It was great. Sure. It was great. Sure. But anyway, I don't know what
you need to show shampoo, so it's like the white shampoo. You need to show shampoo.
Yeah.
Remember that was that
was a famous person who did that. I can't remember who it was.
Annette Bening's husband. What's his name? Dick Tracy.
Jack Nicholson?
No, Dick Tracy. The guy that played Dick Tracy was he was in Bulwark.
Warren Beatty?
Warren Beatty.
No.
Isn't he in Shampoo?
I don't know. Probably.
I think it's Warren Beatty, and I think is Carrie Fisher in that?
Could be. I haven't seen Shampoo.
Brawless, I think. As I recall. I don't know. I could be remembering it wrong, but there you go.
Derpy Jew says Steel Sharks. No, not tonight. I don't want to watch Gary Busey and Lou Gossett Jr. The only Gary Busey movie I want to watch is Bulletproof. All right, guys, come over to Twitch. I'll see you over there in a little bit. Have a good night. Thank you, Doug. Peace. Peace.